Chapter 173. My fief now has a circumference of about 3,000 miles, and only a tenth of it has been developed. Gu Chernsha said, with the 6,000-year bone demons, as long as we use them well, it won't be difficult to develop them all in a few years. Do you have any plans? Don't call me fairy. Bao Ming smiled. I'm a few years older than you. If you don't mind, how about calling me sister? This was clearly a way to get closer to him. Gu Chensha's thoughts raced, but he would not refuse. That's all I want. Sister Ming do you have any good ideas about the development of my fief? Your fief has a circumference of 3,000 miles. As your power expands, so will your territory. However, there are few people. Even if you conquer it, it will only belong to you in name. You won't get anything out of it. You will need to develop it, but it is nothing more than planting and breeding. In this wilderness, you can either plant fruit trees, rice, herbs, or breed bulls, horses, or raise birds of prey. The profits are also very good. Bao Ming continued, all of this requires manpower, especially the Herculean bulls. They live in herds, and even a group of martial arts grandmasters are not enough to take care of them. Dao realm experts are too busy cultivating to do such things. But now that we have the 1,000-year bone demon, things are different. I estimate that 1,000-year bone demon can take care of thousands of Herculean bulls. Without thinking, Bao Ming made a detailed plan. With a wave of her hand, she used her Khanate Gangqi to show the terrain of the mountains within a radius of thousands of miles around Gudusha. Then, she pointed out where they could open up grasslands for breeding, where they could open up wastelands for planting, and how they could build roads, open up wastelands, and change the chi of the earth within a radius of thousands of miles. Gu Chernsha listened carefully. This was the way of governing and helping the people, nurturing the heart of a saint. The ancient saints had the heart of the world, surpassing the gods. They did not cultivate in the mountains, but established businesses in the human world, and their names were passed down through the ages. The more he listened, the more shocked he was. This Bao Ming's plan was interconnected, and her economic skills far surpassed many ministers in the court. I didn't dare to confirm it in the past, but now I am certain that this woman is definitely one of the higher-ups of the Great Wei dynasty. Otherwise, how could she know such a way of governing a country? Gu Chernsha knew that most of the people in the immortal Dao sects cultivated bitterly, wholeheartedly comprehending all kinds of Dao, immortal arts, and battle Dao. How could they understand the business of the mortal world? Bao Ming was a true disciple of the Myriad Treasures mysterious sect. It was true that he had a high status, but he would never have such a deep understanding of the Tao of economic. Take Luo Wu of the Heavenly Dance mystical sect as an example. Although she was extremely intelligent, she had no experience in governing a country. Therefore, her plans and actions were somewhat childish. However, Bao Ming was different. With a few casual words, she was experienced in politics and her methods were smooth. It was obvious that she had a well-practiced strategy for governing a country. In an instant, Gu Chensha's heart was filled with love for talent. If I can subdue this woman and make her my subordinate, then I won't have to worry about the construction of the fief and the governance of the country. However, this woman is not a simple character. Why would she rely on me? She can only be used. Of course, she is also using me. After Bao Ming finished explaining her plan, she noticed that Gu Chernsha was deep in thought. What do you think of my plan, Brother Chen? It's simply flawless. It can be said to be perfect. Gu Chernsha clapped his hands. Sister Ming it would be a waste if you don't govern the country. Let's work together on the matters of the fief. How are we going to split the profits from the various breeding and planting? 30-70 is fine. I'll take 30 and you'll take 70. Bao Ming said, according to my plan, each of the 6,000-year bone demons will earn at least 10 million each year. With a shake of your body, you will become the richest among the princes. The next step is to recruit talent. Talents are the most important. For example, in your fief, there are Lu Yu and the other 4, as well as Long Zifei. These 6 people will be able to soar in the future. The School of Legalism has produced Fa Wuxian. In another 5 to 10 years, the School of Legalism will probably be stronger than all of the sage families combined. Talents are indeed important. Otherwise, the profound immortal Tao sect wouldn't have spent so much effort to find disciples among the commoners. Gu Chensha knew how powerful it was. If any sect found an unparalleled genius among the commoners, they would have struck it rich, not to mention a natural-born sage. Let's not talk about this for now. Bao Ming said, these 5 metal essences have been soaked in absolute kindness soft water. They are good materials for crafting weapons and are quite rare. I will take them to craft some weapons. It's okay. Gu Chensha naturally wouldn't be stingy. He had even given the 6,000-year bone demons, so he didn't care about these materials. He knew that the 6,000-year bone demons could only be used to their fullest potential in Bao Ming-er's hands. The 6,000-year bone demons were not good at fighting, but they were good at working. Each bone demon occupied a few hundred miles of land, so it was easy for them to build. For example, 100 miles of fertile land, from planting, managing, harvesting, and transporting, would require at least tens of thousands of people to work. However, a 1,000-year bone demon could do it easily. Thinking about it, if they used their Xiantian earth qi, they could plow the land, plant the seedlings, drain the water, dig ditches, and all other farm work. They were equivalent to experts of the Tao realm 8 or 9 transformations. If it was a human, such experts wouldn't be able to manage the land. These 1,000-year bone demons have low intelligence, so I still need to teach them how to manage the land and how to breed them. It is best if they learn how to set up a spirit-gathering formation. That way, the efficiency will be higher. Bao Ming-er and Gu Chensha finished their discussion and left with the 6,000-year bone demons. In the next month, apart from cultivating, Gu Chensha was managing the economy of the land. It was the right decision for him to let 3 incense participate in the core operation of the land. 3 incense had been trained since young, and she was a genius. In terms of getting things done, not many of Gu Chensha's subordinates could compare to her. As for Shi Zhongchan, he wasn't someone from the land. Recently, he was summoned by Dashi Marquis and had something to do. During this month, there was still no news from Lu Baiwe, but Bao Ming-er started to make her move. She didn't know what method she used to increase the intelligence of the 6,000-year-old bone demons. Under her plan, the 6 demons started to move around. They cut down trees, cleared roads, built palaces, caught bulls, reared them, and even opened up fields and orchards. Roads, bridges, rivers, ponds, and houses were all opened and built. A giant farm was also built, and the strong bulls were raised within. Those bulls were violent and could even kill martial path grandmasters to eat their meat. However, they were really afraid of the 1,000-year bone demons. In just this month, the construction of the entire land changed. The 6 bone demons were like 1,000,000 laborers. The wild land was huge, and they lacked manpower. If Gu Chensha wanted to build, it wasn't realistic for him to send 1,000,000 people to clear up the land. One had to know that it wasn't easy to manage 1,000,000 people. The 1,000-year bone demons didn't need to eat or drink at all. They were strong monsters and could absorb spiritual energy, making them extremely strong. They didn't know what fatigue was and were the best puppets. Looking at the changes in his land, Gu Chensha really wanted to head to the bone burial land to capture a few more. Unfortunately, he didn't have the ability to subdue the 1,000-year bone demons, so he could only rely on Lu Baiwe. After a month of cultivation, the qi and blood in his body had reached perfection, and he had also begun to understand more things about the art of clumsy fist. His whole body's essence and qi were restrained, and his brilliance was hidden deep. He had returned to his natural state. Even those who were many realms higher than him could not see through his cultivation. In this month, because he had the support of large amounts of heavenly dew, he didn't hesitate to use his essence blood to feed the black tortoise baby. The sea-carrying gourd contained tens of thousands of kilograms of heavenly dew left by the ancient Emperor Zhou. In the past, the heavenly dew was measured in drops, but now it was measured in kilograms. Although the black tortoise baby still hadn't woken up, a large amount of sun and moon dragon blood was poured on the eggshell and seeped into it. Gu Chernsha could clearly feel that its aura was much stronger, and the amount of immortal qi it breathed also increased. The entire land was surrounded by a powerful force. The majesty of the divine beast grew day by day. My sun and moon dragon blood is a first-class treasure in the world. If the black tortoise baby is fed with it every day, it will probably transform and become stronger than the black tortoise itself, Gu Chernsha thought. He looked around and saw that some of the fire dates and purple peaches planted in the gardens inside the castle were also quickly blooming and bearing fruit. They would ripen almost every other season. This was the result of the immortal qi. In addition, there were some young boys and girls taking care of the trees, watering and fertilizing them. The fertilizer was not feces but pill ashes. They were the disciples taught by Bao Ming. After Gu Chernsha let Luo Wu and Bao Ming open a branch in his fief, many children of nobles sent their children to study. They all wanted to have a relationship with the mystic immortal Dao sect. Gu Chernsha also chose talents from among them and let his subordinates train them to expand his power. Just like that, a network was built layer by layer. In the future, even without the support of the heavenly talisman, with such painstaking efforts, his power in the imperial court would also be deeply rooted and unshakable. Another 2 months passed. The weather gradually became cold. It was already winter. There was still no news from Lu Baiwe. Gu Chernsha could only wait patiently. He sent people to ask around and found that there was no movement at the burial ground. Everything seemed to be still. He was also very patient. He was not anxious or impatient. He cultivated hard and read all kinds of ancient books. In the Book of Light given to him by the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor, Qin Wentian had already read about 1/10 of the countless books. It could be said that he knew everything from astronomy to geography. He also had a rough understanding of the local customs. Other than that, he also understood the various arts of immortals and devils. This morning, the sun was shining brightly. It was rare to have a warm winter atmosphere. Gu Chernsha stood in the study and bathed in the sunlight. He was relaxed and happy. But suddenly, he felt his mind wavering and he was panicking. What's going on? A sudden impulse. He frowned. What's going on? Is it dark? At this moment, many people in the castle started to panic. Gu Chernsha hurriedly looked up. The sun was originally rising in the east. But at this moment, a black aura suddenly appeared and wrapped around the sun. Gu Chernsha could clearly see that this black aura wasn't from the clouds. It was emitted from the inside of the sun. In the blink of an eye, the black aura swallowed the sun. Between heaven and earth, it was pitch black. There's a phenomenon in the sky. Gu Chernsha's heart was beating wildly. Such a phenomenon was definitely not a blessing. It was an impending disaster. Kacha. Suddenly, the earth trembled and the mountains swayed. The entire earth was shaking non-stop. It's an earthquake! It's an earthquake! Many people in the castle shouted. Don't panic. This castle is sturdy. Even if there's a big earthquake, it won't be able to do anything. At this moment, Yi Ming and the other experts flew up and spoke loudly. And inside the castle, lights suddenly flew out, illuminating the surroundings. It was one of the 9 magic treasures, the dark fire lamp. Master! Prince! Benefactor! At this moment, the core of the prince residence had all arrived. Yi Ming, Lu Yu, and the others, as well as Long Zifei, his adopted son, Luo Wu, and Bao Ming had also arrived. Black aura swallows the sun, heaven and earth trembles. Luo Wu and Bao Ming were shocked. Although they were both experts of the immortal Tao, they were not worth mentioning in front of this phenomenon. Although the earthquake was fierce, the castle was sturdy and nothing happened. After a while, suddenly, in the pitch-black boundless universe, many stars appeared. Those stars were extremely demonic, like demonic eyes, silently watching the world. Then, heaven and earth shook again. In an instant, stars fell like rain, descending in all directions into the mortal world, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The sky became clear again. Chapter 174. The sun was high up in the sky. It was as if everything that had just happened was an illusion. But when everyone looked around, apart from the castle, there were cracks on the ground and collapsed houses. There were even landslides on the mountains. It was a scene of devastation. Quick, help! Gu Chensha knew that after a disaster, the first thing they had to do was to rescue people. No worries. Bao Ming'er said, I have already ruled out the 1,000-year bone demon's actions. The most important thing now is to discuss how this will affect the future. There are records in the history books that there have been many earth-shattering changes, and the appearance of the white sun demon stars. However, the biggest disaster was only the appearance of the 72 earthly fiends and 36 heavenly spirit. They gathered together to form 108 great demon stars. The energy of the demon stars sensed them, and they descended to the earth, reincarnating as heroes and stirring up chaos in the world. Today, the white sun demon stars are in the tens of thousands, and they all landed on the divine land. This is a disaster that has never been seen before. Yes, the imperial court will be shaken by this. I wonder if Father has come out of seclusion. This kind of change in the sky, no matter how powerful he is, he won't be able to stop it. Gu Chensha was worried. Everyone here was familiar with the history books and knew about the changes in the sky. The black energy that swallowed the sun was a sign of a great disaster, the shaking of heaven and earth was an even greater disaster, and the appearance of the white sun demon stars was an even greater disaster. The appearance of these three phenomena at the same time could really turn the world upside down. Everyone's hearts were heavy. Fairy Luowu, Big Sister Ming-er, you are the elites of the immortal Tao sects and are very clear about the changes in the sky. What should we do now? Gu Chensha asked. This is not a small matter. I'm afraid that in the next few days, there will be a talisman summoning us back to the sect. Luowu frowned. Although I have a small cultivation base, these changes in the weather are caused by the heavenly Tao universe being affected by some sort of aura. Only the oldest Grand Elder in the sect can calculate this. After speaking, she paused and looked at Gu Chensha. Your Highness, why did you change the way you address me? You call me Fairy and call Ming-er Big Sister. Isn't that showing how close we are? If Fairy doesn't mind, I would like to call you Big Sister. I'm just afraid that Fairy is too cold and doesn't dare to get close. Gu Chensha quickly said. In that case, I'll call you Little Brother. Luowu smiled. Big Sister Luowu, what do you think we should do next? Gu Chensha quickly seized the opportunity. After this change, the people of the world are in a state of panic. The most important thing now is to calm them down. I think the imperial court must have a countermeasure. As Luowu was speaking, a talisman suddenly flashed on her body. She quickly looked at it and said, as expected, the sect sent me a message. They want me to return immediately. Brother, I'm leaving now. At this time, the talisman on Bao Ming-er's body also flashed. My sect is also summoning me back. Brother Chen, farewell. As they spoke, the two of them soared into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The two women obtained the 7 Saints Tempering Heart pill from me. They also absorbed the Black Tortoise energy and Immortal energy. They obtained quite a lot of benefits. Their cultivation bases have improved a lot compared to before. Gu Chensha's eyes were no longer the same as before. He was able to see many things. All of you listen up, he suddenly said. We are willing to listen to Prince's orders. His subordinates all knelt down on one knee. Immediately organize a disaster relief and calm the people's hearts. Gu Chernsha ordered, stabilize the situation in the fief. I have to make a trip to the imperial court to see how things are going and whether father has come out of seclusion. Yes. Everyone split up and left. They were not in a hurry. Gu Chensha's castle had gradually turned into the black tortoise's nest. It was sturdy and stable. There was not even a crack on the ground. At this time, a voice suddenly came from the sky. Imperial edict. You princes come to the sky bearing pass to see me. Your son obeys. When Gu Chernsha heard the voice, he could not help but be shocked. It was actually the voice of the head eunuch, Gao Ling. The matter was urgent. There was not even a written imperial edict. Instead, it was an oral edict. However, he soon calmed down. This oral edict was in the usual tone of the heavenly talisman emperor. It seemed that he had come out of seclusion. Furthermore, the edict used I and not I. It seemed that this matter was not very important to the heavenly talisman emperor. He could control the situation. I wonder if Liu Baiwei has come out of seclusion? He thought to himself. He activated the king dragon armor and flew up. He flew into the sky and flew towards the inside of the pass. He discovered that the ground was cracked. The originally built roads were also destroyed and many houses were razed to the ground. This was an unprecedented disaster. Originally, when he was in the castle, he only felt that the earthquake was not very strong. But now, it seemed that it was because the black tortoise baby used the power of the supreme black tortoise to condense the earth veins. This caused the ground under the castle to be incomparably stable. Originally, no matter how strong the earthquake was, the black tortoise's nest would not move. But now, he could feel the tremors. This showed how strong the earthquake outside was. Moreover, the earthquake came quickly and violently. It did not give anyone time to prepare. The scope of the earthquake this time is huge. It seems to have affected the entire divine continent and even the wilderness. I wonder how many people have died. Gu Chensha's heart sank. He did not have the time to help personally. Instead, he flew to the pass and landed on the ground. The entire great stone wall was still standing majestically. There was not even a crack on it. The area around the palace was perfectly fine. It was obvious that at the crucial moment, someone with really strong powers stabilized the foundations. Very quickly, he arrived outside of the palace and waited to be summoned. One after another, the other princes arrived. Old 7, Old 7, Old 3, the 4th, Old 10. All the princes who could come were here. So, just at that moment, a black line flashed in the sky. A person appeared beside Gu Chernsha. It was Liu Baiwei. Her position was even higher than that of the princes in the eyes of the Heaven Talisman Emperor, so naturally she was summoned over. No one could see how she appeared, but there was a feeling of tearing through the void. Only Gu Chernsha knew that her cultivation had improved once more. During these 3 months of secluded meditation, she probably digested everything she got from the bone burial land. What level are you at now? Gu Chernsha said softly. Dao Realm 11 Transformation, Soul Tentacle. Liu Baiwei lowered her voice and formed an energy field around them. No one was able to hear their conversation. To outsiders, this seemed really intimate, like they were a couple. You actually improved by 2 transformations in these 3 months? Although I cultivated hard, I was still unable to break through to 6 transformations and cultivate Xiantian energy. Although Gu Chernsha knew that Liu Baiwei had improved a lot, he didn't expect her to be able to cross 2 realms at once. When the two of them separated, she was at Dao Realm 9 Transformation Glass Jade Body. In 3 months, at most, she would be able to break through to 10 transformations. Who knew that she would even be able to cultivate 10 transformations, Soul Tentacle? You created your own cultivation technique and cultivated it yourself. Naturally, raising your realm will be thousands of times slower than normal. But once you succeed, you will have opened your own Tao. It is the same for ancient saints. Lu Baihui said in a serious tone, but speaking of which, the reason I was able to level up like this is all because of your cultivation technique and essence blood. In these 3 months, I have been using my true fire to completely refine them. I have also comprehended the 10,000 miles flying cloud flag and the Xian Hao dragon ship. I have comprehended a set of cultivation technique from each of them. The 10,000 miles flying cloud escape and the Xian Hao great mystique, I will now give them to you. 1. A spiritual sense spread over. Gu Chernsha felt many scenes appear in the depths of his mind. All sorts of cultivation techniques and images appeared once more. He accepted them all and didn't collapse from meditation. Lu Baihui cultivated soul tentacle and could spread her spiritual sense out like a tentacle, seeping into the mind of living beings. This was the same as transferring spiritual sense. These 2 techniques were ancient secret techniques and they were really profound. If it was Long Zifei, he would be able to comprehend them right away. But for Gu Chernsha, he would need a long time to comprehend them. He wasn't in a rush and remembered them. In the future, he would have plenty of time to comprehend them. What do you think about the black energy swallowing the sun, the sky shaking, and the demon star descending? Gu Chernsha wanted to ask her for her opinion. This is a change in the Tao of the heavens, and it is beyond our comprehension. Lu Baihui shook her head. With her cultivation, there was nothing she could do. Even if I was 10 times stronger, I wouldn't be able to interfere in this matter. But since the Emperor has come out of secluded meditation, he definitely has plans. The 2 of them whispered to each other, causing the expressions of many princes to become really ugly. Has 19 finally gotten together with Lu Baihui? Gu Chernsha's eyes turned sharp. His cultivation was still at the Tao Realm 9 transformation glass jade body. Since he reached this realm, no matter how he cultivated and no matter what resources he obtained, he was unable to improve. He was unable to reach the 10 transformations realm. Each time he cultivated, he would be distracted and the energy in his body would flow in reverse. After so many times, he knew that this was the limit of his talent and he couldn't improve anymore. Otherwise, a huge disaster would befall him. Originally, with his talent, he couldn't even reach Tao Realm 8 transformation. However, he relied on numerous resources to break through to 9 transformation. This was already heaven-defying and a huge disaster would befall him. This was why he wasn't worthy. Damn, Lu Baihui is really strong and she is so close to this kid. I heard news from Heng Budong. Big brother Gu Hengsha also came here. He was supposed to defend the port but was taken over by Marquis Zhenhai. He was summoned by Heavenly Talisman Emperor and came to expand his territory. He had heard about Lu Baihui from Heng Budong and knew how terrifying she was. He and Gu Chernsha had deep hatred. Not only were they political enemies, but Gu Chernsha was the one who stole the evil god Flesh and Blood and Long Zifei. The Emperor has decreed for the princes to discuss matters. A few eunuchs appeared in the palace and shouted before leading the way. Lu Baihui and Gu Chernsha didn't say a word. They followed the eunuchs and the princes into the palace. They passed many plazas and came to the Ganyang Hall at the center. The Ganyang Hall was really huge and was only opened for important meetings. The moment they entered, they saw many other officials enter. The 8 marquises are all here? Even Duke Mei Shicho is here? Duke Ili Sichuan is here too. As expected, Gu Chernsha noticed that the atmosphere was different. The true foundation of the dynasty was the 8 marquises and 3 dukes. The 8 marquises were Jusher Marquis, Iron Blood Marquis, Star-Sucking Marquis, Thousand Autumns Marquis, Demon Vanquishing Marquis, Treasure Gathering Marquis, Heart Marshal Marquis, and Zhenhai Marquis. The 3 dukes were Yuan Duke Lu Chongshao, Ili Sichuan, and Mei Duke Shicho. Mei Duke was a woman, Chapter 175. The Celestial Talisman Emperor appeared from the back of the palace. He sat on the throne and looked down. Gu Chernshaw realized that everyone relaxed when they saw him. If he didn't appear, they would be panicking. But now that he was here, they felt fearless. "We kowtow in salute to your majesty." Everyone knelt. "Rise." The Celestial Talisman Emperor stretched out his hand. "I have an emergency meeting today. I'm sure all of you know what happened." "Your Majesty," the black energy swallowed the sun, the earth shook, and the demon star descended. Lu Chongshao was the first to speak. "This is a natural disaster. It's a disaster for the people. We need to save them immediately and calm them down. Don't worry, I've already sent the Heavenly Designer Institute to provide disaster relief, repair houses, and rebuild road. The disaster is just a small matter." The Celestial Talisman Emperor asked, "But the demon star descending will definitely give birth to a hero. It's not the sky that's high, but the human heart. Natural disasters are not disasters, but man-made disasters. Since ancient times, there has never been a dynasty that was shaken by natural disasters. Only man-made disasters can destroy a dynasty. This time I saw it too. Thousands of demon stars descended and disappeared in the blink of an eye. There's no way to find the source." At this moment, Duke Shicho of Mei Kingdom spoke. She looked like she was only in her 20s. She wore a light blue chiffon dress, looking elegant and plain. There was a thin ribbon tied on her forehead. She looked ethereal and did not look like a famous duke at all. Duke Shicho guarded the border of East Baron and didn't return to the court. There were mountains everywhere in East Baron. While it wasn't as dangerous as the barren wilderness, it was where many immortal sects lived. The states near East Baron had strong customs and many martial sections. There were many people in the pugilistic world, but they had all been influenced by immortal cultivators since ancient times. In other places, a mortal realm grandmaster was enough to start a sect. However, there were many sects in the Eastern Baron territory that had many Dao realm cultivators. The Celestial Talisman Emperor made Duke Shicho guard the border. This showed that her cultivation level was unfathomable. The demon star descending is a change in the heavenly Dao. It's born to disrupt the universe and is also the greatest calamity. The Celestial Talisman Great Monarch said, "There are 3 calamities and 9 tribulations in cultivation. Once you reach a certain level, there will be natural calamities, earthly calamities, and man-made calamities. It's the same for governing a country. When a country is at its peak, the heavenly Tao will naturally have tribulations. There's no such thing as a smooth sailing. As long as the country is able to overcome the tribulations, it will still be able to advance." Your Majesty's words have hit the nail on the head. The Duke of Li Xian cupped his hands together and said, "As the saying goes, the country thrives on hardships. If the country is smooth sailing and there are no calamities, the people will not understand that life is not easy. They are arrogant and lascivious, and in the end, they will harm themselves. Even so, this tribulation is no small matter." The heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor stared at the sky. The sun was still high up in the sky. Many things would happen among the commoners, disrupting some of our original plans. The reason I gathered all of you here today is to discuss the future of the imperial court. Your Majesty, please instruct me. The 3 dukes, the 8 marquises, the ministers, and the princes were all singing in unison. "Since it's a discussion, then let's brainstorm. This world doesn't belong to me alone." The heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor spoke in a condescending tone. "I've always said that I'm only a guide, a teacher. Today I would like to hear your opinions." "Yes." At this time, the minister Fong Lin spoke. "This subject has a memorial." Ever since Fong Lin was promoted to a minister in the upper study room, he had been diligent in his work. His methods were also very smooth. Initially, some of the older ministers looked down on this young man. But after a few days, they all felt that this young man had the talent to become a prime minister. Now that he was here, his voice was vigorous and forceful. Now that the world is facing a calamity, the imperial court naturally has to do its part. However, this subject feels that the 72 immortal sects must do their part as well. This subject has an idea. The imperial court should set up an emergency yamen to recruit people from the immortal sections. The immortal sects have been quiet for tens of thousands of years, only taking from the commoners. Their contributions are negligible, and it's time for them to repay their debt. We should use the corvée law to restrain them. The moment the words corvée law came out, all the ministers present felt their hearts tremble. Gu Qinsha praised in his heart. Since ancient times, the imperial court made the commoners do unpaid labor. Once the corvée law was too heavy, the commoners would suffer unspeakably. However, in the heavenly talisman dynasty, corvée law was lenient. Even the corvée law stipulated that the commoners could only dig ditches and open up barren hills in their own land. They would not be forced to leave their homes. As for the immortal sects, there had never been a dynasty that dared to make them do corvée work. They didn't even think about it. Once they entered the immortal sects, they would no longer be under the jurisdiction of the mortal world. This was something recognized by the emperors of the past. Even the most talented and bold of emperors only hoped that the immortal sects would not cause any trouble. This Fong Lin is really bold. Gu Qinsha thought, isn't he afraid of offending the immortal sects by bringing up this matter? But then again, if the ancient 72 sects were really willing to do corvée work, who knows what the world would be like? The immortal sects were like the gentry of the past, refusing to do corvée work, refusing to pay taxes, and unable to get rid of them. It's time to deal with them. But this matter is difficult. Continue. The heavenly talisman emperor nodded. What other suggestions do you have? Everything under the sky belongs to the emperor. The whole world belongs to the court. Fong Lin continued. Those immortal sects excavate treasures everywhere and take them for themselves. It's the same as excavating the wealth of the court, but they still have to pay taxes. Hearing Fong Lin's two suggestions, many of the officials in the court looked at each other, thinking of the benefits they could get. They were all quite tempted. One had to know that each of the 72 immortal sects was a super-rich sect that had accumulated wealth for tens of thousands of years. As long as they plucked a single hair, the national treasury would not have to worry about financial expenses for decades. If the ancient 72 sects were willing to pay taxes, the national treasury would be able to do all kinds of great things for thousands of years. Not to mention, the immortal sects weren't limited to just the ancient 72 sections. The ancient 72 sects were the strongest, the orthodox profound sects recognized by the Emperor of Heaven. There were also some second and third-rate immortal sects, which were even more numerous than the carps in the river. For example, with Lu Baiyue's current cultivation level, he could set up his own sect and develop it into a second or third-rate immortal sect. If all the immortal sects paid taxes, it would be unimaginable. However, the execution of this matter would not be so smooth. Your Majesty, I agree with Fong Lin's suggestion. At this moment, Duke Shichou of Mei Country reported, I guard the East Baron and have dealings with many celestial Dao sects. Countless celestial Dao sects have no laws at all. Wherever they see treasures, they snatch them. Wherever they see outstanding talents, they kidnap them. There are several large mines near the East Baron that produce precious stones and metals. They were originally the imperial court's territory, but they have been exploited by those sects over the years. In the long run, won't all the resources in the world be taken by them? Your Majesty, this is no small matter. Someone raised a different opinion. Oh, Earl San, speak. Heaven Talisman Great Emperor looked down. The one who raised a different opinion was also an important official of the court. Although he wasn't as famous as the 3 dukes and 8 marquises, he was still famous. Gu Chensha looked over and saw that the third river earl was a middle-aged man. His temples were white, and he had a scholarly air about him. For this person to be conferred the title of earl, he must have made great contributions and was definitely not an ordinary person. It was very difficult to obtain a title in the court. Without true ability, one couldn't obtain it. Gu Chensha knew that this person was from the Hun clan. In his early years, he was a down-and-out scholar. However, with the support of the Hun clan, he actually seized the opportunity of Heaven Talisman Great Emperor's change of dynasty and made great contributions. He even married a woman from the Hun clan as his wife. Your Majesty, although there's a calamity now, it's not difficult to provide disaster relief. The court can definitely do it. There's no need to mobilize the immortal sections. Earl Sand said, "It's not that I don't agree with the immortal sections. It's just that this matter needs to be discussed at length. At least wait until the court conquers the desolate baron. If the court forces the immortal sects too much, I'm afraid it'll backfire." I also think that Earl Sand's words make sense. These are the words of an experienced strategist. Many other officials nodded in agreement. 19. Moon Worship. Heaven Talisman Great Emperor looked at the various factions below him without batting an eyelid. He waited for them to finish before looking at Gu Chensha and Lu Baiwe. Previously, I assigned the two of you to be in charge of contacting the immortal sections. How is it going? I've already asked the Mystical Sky Dance's Mystical Gate and Myriad Treasures' Mystical Gate to set up branches in their fiefdoms. Now, there are some small achievements. However, your son's cultivation is low and I haven't done much. I hope Imperial Father will punish me. Gu Chensha hurriedly said. Regarding the immortal sects, I have a memorial to report. Lu Baiwe, however, was very confident. This time, the black chi devoured the sun, the heavens and earth shook, and the demon star descended. According to historical records, this is an unprecedented calamity. This crisis doesn't only affect the court, but also the immortal sections. I believe that the immortal sects must also show some sincerity and work together with the court. I feel that the court should first send out a declaration of war and send people to inform the immortal sects to send experts to gather with the court. If they are unwilling to even put in effort in the face of such a calamity, it will be a sign of their ambition and the court will not be stingy in punishing them. Also, during the reign of the ancient emperor, the immortal sects would send congratulatory gifts to the court every 3 years. Now that the emperor has been on the throne for 15 years, it is already a crime of disrespect that the immortal sects have not sent a single congratulatory gift. At this time, the court must urge the immortal sects to do 3 things. First, provide disaster relief, second, pay taxes, and third, exterminate the barbarians. Moreover, they must do it quickly without delay. That's also my opinion. Heaven Talisman Great Emperor didn't express his opinion. 19. How is the recruitment of the Treasured Jade Country going? Your son has made the necessary preparations and will be heading to Treasured Jade Country in a few days. Gu Chensha had actually prepared for this. Although he was busy with cultivation these few months, Cold Jade-Du and Long Yun were doing their best to plan for this matter. In addition, your son has already contacted the Sea Rock Island. We are also preparing to submit to the court. At that time, the Dragon Sword Island, Sea Rock Island, and Treasured Jade Island will work together to expand overseas. Chapter 176. Father, please ask for instructions. Gu Chensha didn't have many errands to do. His biggest task was to enlist Baoyu Nation and recruit immortal cultivators. Apart from that, he had to appease the remnants of the imperial court. These 3 matters had to be planned slowly and couldn't be rushed. It's imperative to collect taxes from the immortal Dao sections. Celestial Talisman Emperor said, "For the world, the immortal Dao's demands aren't like the world's returns. The court's reform won't let go of such a flaw. How about this, Ufu County, and Prince Hua will set up a government office called the Calming Immortal Bureau. Princess Ufu will be the chief, and the two of you will be the deputies. The task is to standardize the immortal Tao. In the future, sects must be registered with the Bureau and approved. At the same time, the Calming Immortal Department had to calculate how many immortal Tao sects there were in the world. Those sects had to be recorded and their taxes calculated. Afterward, they had to pay the taxes. If those sects didn't pay the taxes, the Calming Immortal Department had to go to collect them. In addition, in the future, if there were any immortal Tao sects that weren't recorded, they had to be disbanded. The same goes for the demonic and demonic Taos. Gu Chensha was greatly shocked when he heard this. He hadn't expected Celestial Talisman Emperor to place such a heavy burden on him. He knew that he wouldn't be able to do it even if he was 100 times stronger. For example, the Department of Tranquil Immortals wanted all the sects to register and ascend to the throne first. They had to report the assets of the sects so that they could calculate taxes. The ancient 72 sects wouldn't pay any attention to them. If he went to collect taxes, he probably wouldn't even be able to find the location of the sections. However, he also understood that the establishment of a government office was a big deal. The three stepped forward and said, "Your subjects obey. I've already ordered the Celestial Designer Institute to set up a bureau on the same level as the Celestial Designer Institute. Nobles and ministers can't enter without an imperial edict." Celestial Talisman Emperor said, "Bestow the Sacred Dragon Army, 100,000 horned WRM armors, 3,000 hornless dragon armors, 30 great dragon armors, 10 king dragon armors, and 1 god dragon armor. In addition, there are all kinds of pills and treasures. Gao Ling, give the list to Princess Ufu and record it." Understood. Gao Ling took out a densely packed list and gave it to Lu Baiyue. Sacred Dragon Celestial Soldier. Many princes, nobles, and dukes who knew the ins and outs of the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor were all shocked and jealous of the three of them. At the same time, they knew that the Heavenly Talisman Immortal Emperor wanted to establish a government office similar to the Heavenly Designer Institute. The Divine Dragon Celestial Soldier. Gu Chensha knew that it was a supreme puppet. He had seen it in books before. Its upper body was a human, and its lower body was a dragon. It was extremely powerful, far more powerful than the Heavenly Works demon god. He had seen the Herculean Heavenly Works demon god before. It was already extremely powerful, but it was only used for construction and transportation. On the other hand, the Sacred Dragon Celestial Weapon was used for battle and protection. Its power was incomparable to that of the Heavenly Works ghostly deities. However, these items were not bestowed to individuals. Instead, they were assets allocated to the Celestial Pacification Department. It was impossible for such a huge yamen to be completely destitute. However, this also meant that from now on, Gu Chensha would be in a high position of power and would be in control of the real key departments. However, the matters of this key department were not simple. The entire imperial court was watching. If he did not produce some results, it would be difficult to explain himself. The duties of the Celestial Pacification Department are extraordinary. The three of you cannot slack off. What you bear is the fate of the imperial court for thousands of years. If the immortal Tao pays taxes, the fate of the nation will become more and more prosperous. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor was right. The national policy of paying taxes as a whole could prolong the fate of the nation for 100 years, not to mention the immortal Tao sects paying taxes and performing corvée labor. Yes. Lu Baiyue's expression was calm. No one could tell what she was thinking, but Gu Chensha knew that she would definitely do her best to get things done. Moreover, as time passed, Lu Baiyue would become more and more powerful. Fortunately, she was one of them now, and their relationship was close. They could even share secrets, so there would not be any disadvantages. Father. At this moment, the 10th Prince Gu Chernsha jumped out. Your son also wants to join the Celestial Pacification Department to share father's burden and work for the imperial court. Your son is also willing. At this time, the 1st Prince, the 3rd Prince, and the 7th Prince all walked out, requesting to join. They could already see that this Celestial Pacification Department would definitely have a high status and authority in the future. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor would give his full support to build a government office like the Heavenly Designer Institute. This government office was a piece of juicy meat. If they did not join, they would lose a huge opportunity. Gu Chernsha felt disdain in his heart. These brothers are not here to work for the imperial court. Seeing that father has allocated so many things for the Celestial Pacification Department, they are all selfish and want a share of the wealth. If the Heavenly Talisman Emperor did not allocate the Dragon Saint heavenly soldiers, armors, pills, and other riches to the Celestial Pacification Department, this group of princes might not come forward to ask for help. All of you have your own tasks, there is no need to create a ruckus. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor waved his hand. Chernsha, you have guarded the seas for more than 10 years, causing a rift between the 100 countries overseas and the imperial court. For your own selfish gains, you cultivated a demonic art and killed countless lives. If not for the fact that you are my son, you would have been executed long ago. Go and reflect on your mistake. Yes, yes, yes. The 1st Prince Gu Hengsha hurriedly knelt down. Your son is guilty, your son is guilty. He didn't dare to retort. This was a direct reprimand, and it was not a good sign in front of so many officials. In fact, ever since the Heavenly Talisman Emperor stripped him of his military authority, many people in the imperial court knew that the 1st Prince had fallen out of favor. Of course, some people knew that the 1st Prince didn't do a good job in guarding the seas. His relationship with the various countries was really strained and his reputation wasn't good either. He didn't support the customs at all and he had been pocketing his own money. On the other hand, Gu Chernsha's reputation gradually improved. From the southern mountain hunting competition, to quelling the rebellion in Banan province, subduing the barbarian race's emissaries, killing the 4 great demons, establishing his fiefdom, and then painstakingly building the Black Tortoise sailing out to sea, subduing the Gu Poison sect, opening a medical hall, and then opening the trade route between Dragon Sword Island and Baoyu Nation. He even contacted Luo Wu, Bao Ming-er, and many other people from the Immortal Dao sect to open a school. The many princes had aristocratic families supporting them, but they couldn't compare to Gu Chernsha's rise in a year. The only problem was that his cultivation wasn't high. The 1st Prince was at the Dao Realm 9 transformation and the 7th Prince was the same. It is good that you are guilty. Back off. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor said, I told you to attack a barbarian race god temple, and you dragged your feet. You only did it for your own benefit and didn't want to work for the imperial court. What is the point of having you? His scolding was really strict. The Crown Prince Gu Hengsha retreated and exited the hall. He didn't dare to stay any longer. Many princes lowered their heads. 7. I told you to attack Mo God Temple, how did it go? The Heavenly Talisman Emperor asked. Reporting to Imperial Father, your son has led several experts to fight against the Temple of Mo. Both sides have won and lost, but we have killed more than 10 barbarian marshals and several high priests of the temple. Their corpses have already been sent to the Heavenly Craftsman Institute. Very good, God Mahakasayapa is the #1 fiend god of the barbarian race. He has existed since the primordial era and is extremely mysterious. Although he was sealed by me, the experts in his temple are as many as the clouds. You are able to accomplish this. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor didn't reprimand Gufasa this time. He nodded and continued, I won't bury the merits of your actions. For example, boss, Gao Ling, head to your storage and take a bowl of Netherworld reincarnation soup. After the meeting, give it to 7. Many thanks, father. The seventh Prince Gufasha was overjoyed. He knew that the netherworld reincarnation soup was the legendary holy water of the Yama devil sect. As long as one drank it, it was equivalent to entering the cycle of reincarnation, abandoning the old world and gaining a new life. Not only could it increase one's lifespan, it could also improve one's aptitude, allowing one to break through bottleneck. This water had long disappeared from the world, yet it was still in the storage of the heavenly talisman emperor? Third brother. Son is here. The third Prince Gufasha walked up. Father, please give me your instructions. You've also done well recently. You've successively conquered several barbarian tribes and captured 800,000 barbarians. You've even captured a barbarian king alive. You've even subdued him with the Amitabha heart-cleansing mantra and made him a general under your command. The heavenly talisman immortal emperor was actually very knowledgeable about all sorts of things. I won't bury such a great merit. I will bestow upon you an 8-division Bodhi pill. This pill was left behind by the ancient Buddhist sect and is very suitable for your cultivation art. Many thanks, father. Gufasha knelt down. Little 10. Son is here. The 10th Prince Gazensha hurriedly knelt down, feeling joy in his heart, thinking that the heavenly talisman emperor would reward him as well. Who would have thought that the heavenly talisman emperor would glance at him? Recently, your performance in attacking the barbarian tribes can't be considered good, but it can't be considered bad either. But you didn't slack off either. This time, I won't punish you, nor will I reward you. I called you here to set an example for you. Eldest brother made a huge mistake, I will reprimand him. Third brother and little 7 did well, I will reward them. You all have to understand one thing, as long as you are loyal to the imperial court, I will like you. Son will listen to your teachings. The princes all kowtowed. Speaking of which, this catastrophe is also an opportunity. Seeing that the heavenly talisman emperor had finished dealing with the princes, Lu Chongshao spoke. His Majesty has long planned to rebuild the cities in the country. Now that many places have been destroyed, it's a good time to rebuild the cities. That's true. The heavenly talisman emperor continued. All the prefectures have already made plans to rebuild the cities after the calamity. Today, I summoned all of you here to inspect the cities and supervise the local officials. The reconstruction of the cities cannot be entirely dependent on the Heavenly Designer Institute. The commoners have to be mobilized and taught some things. This subject will do his best to accomplish this. The various officials all knelt down. Third Earl. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor spoke again. This subject is here. Third Earl trembled in fear. He was someone from the Hun clan and everyone in the imperial court knew of this. Now that the first prince was being reprimanded, he felt that something wasn't right. Don't panic, I will give you a mission. After the calamity, you will be in charge of collecting donations and separate them from the national treasury. The major clans, aristocratic clans and merchant groups will all donate generously. Record down the donations and spend them. In the future, you will be rewarded accordingly. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor gave him a heavy responsibility. Chapter 177. After this court meeting, almost all the ministers had their own tasks assigned to them. However, under the arrangements of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, everyone in the court was at ease. The anxiety in the hearts of the people had lessened significantly. Black chi engulfing the sun, heaven and earth shaking, the descent of a demonic star, these were the signs of calamity. If it was any other dynasty, there would be generals with troops in their hands, ambitious people would rise up in revolt, immortal Tao sects and devil Tao sects would come out to assist a wise ruler, stealing the destiny of a new dynasty. But now, none of these things would happen in the Heavenly Talisman dynasty. After the court meeting was dismissed, Lu Baiwe, Gu Chensha, and Gu Huasha formed a group. The other princes also formed their own groups, discussing spiritedly. Old 19 Baiwe, seems like your relationship is progressing very quickly. The fourth, Gu Huasha, seemed to have noticed something amiss. Fourth brother must be joking, Baiwe and I just had some fortuitous encounters. Gu Chensha hurriedly added, you should already know about the bone burial ground. I know, I even went there recently. The fourth's expression turned solemn. After the great changes in heaven and earth, there will be new changes in the Bujo Palace. Some of the seals in the bone burial ground will be broken, and the devil Qi will probably erupt soon. I also thought of this, Lu Baiwe said. After we take care of the Celestial Calmness Bureau, we will go and take over the Bujo Palace. The Celestial Calmness Bureau is the department that the Emperor values the most. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allocated the saintly dragon celestial army and vast amounts of resources. But even so, the authority of this yamen is too weak. It is impossible to do something as big as collecting taxes from the immortal Tao. The fourth knew the severity of this. We need to get stronger. If we can take over the Bujo Palace, the Celestial Calmness Bureau will have a foundation and can collect taxes from some of the smaller immortal Tao sections. With our current cultivation, we can't even enter the gates of the ancient 72 sects, so there's no need to talk about collecting taxes. However, with our current cultivation, we can make the other sects submit to the imperial court. However, we can't use force. We have to appease them. After all, the immortal Tao is not the demonic Tao. The first few sects that submit to our calming immortal department can even be given preferential treatment and some benefit. Lu Baiwe took the lead and flew up. The three of them arrived outside the pass. Thousands of miles of land outside the pass belonged to the capital city. This was the new capital of the great Yong dynasty. Although the earthquake was strong, the new capital was constructed extremely sturdily, so there wasn't much damage. Many people were repairing it, and in a few more days, it should be as good as new. On the east side of the capital city, a newly built mansion was built. It was tall, wide, and square. It occupied an area of several tens of thousands of mu, and the three large words Calming Immortal Department hung at the top. When the three of them landed, they saw that the entire Calming Immortal Department's yamen was faintly enveloped by a formation. Unauthorized people couldn't enter. However, Lu Baiwe took out Regal Propria's medallion and waved it. The formation automatically dispersed, allowing the three of them to enter the deepest part of the yamen. First, they checked the storeroom to see if all the resources that the Emperor had allocated had arrived. Lu Baiwe held a booklet in her hands. On it were densely written the resources that the imperial court had instigated for the Calming Immortal Department. When they opened the huge storeroom, the first thing that entered their eyes were 9 huge statues that were at least 3 to 4 people tall. The upper bodies of these statues were human, and the lower bodies were that of dragons and serpents. Their auras were ancient, as if they were ancient gods from the prehistoric times. The desolate gods had descended into the mortal world. This is the sacred dragon celestial soldier? How strong are they? Gu Chensha walked up and knocked on the body of the statue. The sound was so deep that it sounded like the chaos of heaven and earth. This pair of sacred dragon soldiers hasn't been activated yet. Once they're activated, I'm afraid the three of us won't be a match for each soldier even if we join forces. Together, these 9 soldiers can kill us all in an instant. Lu Baiwe clicked his tongue in admiration. So strong? That is impossible, right? Gu Chensha didn't dare to believe it. Baiwe, your cultivation is at the 11th Tao realm transformation. Along with the Great Massacre God technique, you can probably wipe out a small demon sect. Fourth brother is also indiscernible. The three of us together can't even deal with one sacred dragon celestial soldier? 19th brother, the sacred dragon celestial soldier is an ancient treasure. If it was a normal puppet, then what was the point of giving it to us? Didn't you see that calming celestial department was a tough job? But when they heard that father was giving it to us, all of them were green with envy. The fourth prince put his hands behind his back and looked at the weapon. Furthermore, Father has modified the celestial weapon of the sacred dragon, eliminating all its original flaws. It's extremely useful. Baiwe, you're the war master. 19th brother and I are your assistants. You'll be the one to activate the celestial weapon of the sacred dragon. Firstly, we don't have your innate gang chi. Okay, activating the sacred dragon celestial soldier requires huge amounts of sciention energy. If you activate it, you will suffer heavy losses. A black lotus appeared around Lu Baiyue's body. The lotus spun slightly and 9 streaks of black energy shot out and landed on the sacred dragon celestial soldier's body. The black energy was like a river that surged endlessly. The 9-headed sacred dragon celestial soldier was like a bottomless hole that absorbed it. Lu Baiyue's expression didn't change as she continued to inject energy. Even after several hours, she still couldn't activate it. Gu Chunsha was in awe of Yiming. If it was Yiming, not to mention a few hours, even if he only activated one, he could only sustain it for a few hundred breaths with such a powerful input of innate gang chi. When night fell, the Yin energy in the air thickened, and the sacred dragon celestial soldier emitted pure yang energy. Lu Baiwe didn't know how much sciention energy he had instilled. Even the fourth and Gu Chencha's eyes widened as if saying, "You're not human." The hour of midnight was the time when Yin reached its peak and Yang was born. The 9-headed sacred dragon celestial soldier suddenly shook and opened their eyes, waking up from their slumber. They opened their mouths wide. In an instant, the void was opened. Spiritual energy mixed with purple immortal energy was sucked into their bodies. They could actually absorb immortal energy on their own. They were no different from black tortoise babies. Alright, they're finally activated. Lu Baiwe retracted her sciention energy. They're completely under my command now. However, the sacred dragon celestial soldier can't be moved easily. They must absorb 36 days of spiritual energy and immortal energy before they can launch an attack. After that, they must absorb for another 36 days. After 36 cycles of sun and moon, they can launch a second attack. It's that troublesome? Gu Chunsha flipped through the Book of Light and found records of the sacred dragon celestial soldier. He found that the sacred dragon celestial soldier originally needed to absorb 108 days of spiritual energy and immortal energy before it could launch an attack. But after being modified by Emperor Celestial Talisman, it only needed 36 days. It's really amazing to see a single brilliant feat. The sacred dragon celestial soldier was a top-notch puppet, but it couldn't work like the Heavenly Works Ghost Immortal or the Millennium Bone Demon. It was born purely for battle. Moreover, it had been accumulating energy for many days. Once released, it could slay ghosts and immortals. No wonder it was so powerful. Gu Chunsha seemed to have learned some kind of knowledge from the sacred dragon celestial soldier. This knowledge allowed him to have a deeper comprehension of the clumsy fist Tao. The 9 sacred dragon celestial soldiers have been activated. In 36 days, they will accumulate enough energy and then we can bring them along. If we meet an expert, we can lock onto that expert and see what kind of expert can escape. The fourth Gu Huasha said. Anyone above Tao Realm Transformation 20 will die. The moment the sacred dragon celestial soldier attacks, no one will be able to escape. Lu Baiwe said, "Alright, let them accumulate their strength. We'll check the armors, weapons, elixirs, artifacts, and valuables." The 3 of them counted according to the list and there were no mistakes. Only then did they relax. They knew that Emperor Celestial Talisman was invincible and no one dared to cheat. In the past, even if the imperial court allocated money and grain, the Ministry of Revenue would deduct it or pass it off as high quality. There were many cases of generals and officials arguing with one another. Celestial Talisman was much better now. But this time, the calming celestial agency allocated too many things at once. Lu Baiwei and the other two didn't dare to be careless and had to check carefully before they could be at ease. The treasures and treasures are all in order. I will write a report to His Majesty. Next is to recruit people. Lu Baiwei said, the Calming Celestial Agency is an important office and the people we recruit must be our own people. If we let people with bad intentions sneak in, it will be problematic. I have Lu Yu, Mo Chao, Qian Zhen, Jiao Yang, Zhou Bu, and Long Zifei. They can all take on great responsibilities. I think we should recruit them into the Calming Celestial Agency to gain experience. Gu Chensha only had these 6 capable subordinates, so naturally, he had to find a place for them. Once they entered the Calming Celestial Agency, they would become officials of the imperial court. But now they were just servants in a feudal land. Moreover, after joining the Calming Celestial Agency, they would receive great training and become officials of the imperial court. They would also be able to establish their influence and maneuver freely. Now, although Long Yun and Frost Jade Du weren't by his side, they were developing in the imperial court and were very useful. He only needed to send a message, and everything would be handled properly. He also enjoyed the benefits of forming cliques in the imperial court. If a prince didn't have a clique in the imperial court, he would be hindered in every way and find it difficult to move an inch. The 6 of you are all extraordinary and have great luck. Joining the Calming Celestial Agency is like adding wings to a tiger. Lu Baiwei already knew about Gu Chencha's background. Lu Yu and the other 4 were descendants of the gods of 5 seasons. Their aptitudes were between geniuses and unparalleled geniuses. Long Zifei was an out-and-out unparalleled genius. His future was practically limitless. I have already decided. I will be the department head of the Calming Celestial Agency, and the 2 of you will be the deputy department head. There will be 12 generals, 24 flag masters, and 36 immortal catchers. What do you think? Lu Baiwei said. We are willing to follow your instructions. Gu Chensha and the 4th nodded. I will discuss the specific details again. However, there is a rule, and that is we will only recruit geniuses, Lu Baiwei said. Of course. The 4th said, Imperial Father has allocated so many resources. Our Calming Celestial Agency has enough resources to recruit geniuses. 4th brother, you should have geniuses under your command, right? Gu Chensha asked. Chapter 178. The 4th wasn't being modest. He truly didn't have any peerless geniuses under his command. Not to mention the 4th, even among the ancient 72 sects, peerless geniuses were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. The 4th, old 19, we will prepare for the next 3 days. Lu Baiwei was decisive. Gather all the people you can summon. 3 days later, the 3 of us will head to the burial grounds again. We must take the Buzhou Palace. This time, I've been in seclusion for 3 months and comprehended many things. I have some confidence that we can snatch food from the tiger's mouth. Even if we can't take the Buzhou Palace, we must obtain the heavenly cycle apparatus. Once we take the Buzhou Palace, our Bureau of Calmness will have an absolute treasure. Unfortunately, the saintly dragon celestial soldiers won't be able to act during these 3 days. Otherwise, it would be even more foolproof. The 4th felt that it was a pity. Then there's no other way. I'm afraid we can't wait for the next 36 days. If the Buzhou Palace falls into the hands of the barbarians, things will be troublesome, Lu Baiwei said. The barbarians and the nest of myriad dragons shouldn't be scheming. Gu Chensha coldly snorted. I've already spread the news. I'm afraid the people of the 72 sects already know about it. The situation is like a plate of loose sand. Only by muddying the waters will we be able to fish in troubled waters. In that case, let's disperse and make our own preparations. Lu Baiwei flew away first. She wanted to gather reliable people to fill the Bureau of Calmness. Gu Chensha also flew back to his fiefdom. The 4th naturally disappeared. A single stone raised 1,000 ripples. The heavenly talisman emperor reprimanded the crown prince Gu Hengsha, established the Bureau of Calmness, put the 19th, 4th, and Lu Baiwei in important positions, and rewarded the 7th and 3rd princes. A series of events happened very quickly, and many people were watching the changes in the world. Over the next 2 to 3 days, although the disaster was severe, with the deployment of the Heavenly Designer Institute and the mobilization of various local officials, everything proceeded in an orderly manner. There wasn't a single rebellion in the country, and the people's hearts weren't shaken. At this rate, it wouldn't take more than a few months for the world to return to peace and prosperity. Prince Heng's fief was grand and majestic. The castle was divided into 9 layers, and it was the 9 heavens Qi gathering formation. This formation was very profound, and it borrowed the power of the 9 heavens to break through the dimension, causing the spiritual energy to be very dense. It was much stronger than many spirit-gathering formations. As the first prince, Prince Heng had the backing of a sage family. Naturally, the castle he built would not be ordinary. But now there were dark clouds floating above the fief, and they seemed to be in the same bad mood as their master. Patter! A jade artifact was smashed to pieces. Gu Hengsha's face contorted as he roared, Why? I've made great contributions all these years, but you don't give me any face at all. You scolded me in front of everyone. Do you think I'll be able to live in the future? No one in the imperial court will listen to me anymore. While he was throwing a tantrum, there was a group of people kneeling on the ground. At the very front was his heir Gu Tanjian, and a few of his sons and daughters. Behind them were his concubines and servants. Father, you don't have to be so angry. Gu Tanjian tried to persuade him. Actually, everything started because of that Gu Chensha. If he hadn't complained in front of Imperial Grandfather, Father wouldn't have been scolded like this. Gu Chensha alone isn't enough. Lu Baiwei is definitely behind this. I'm going to kill that little bastard. Gu Hengsha's tone was extremely ferocious. Father, you have plenty of opportunities to kill him. There's no need to be impatient. Gu Tanjian's expression was also very cold. I feel that we can discuss this matter with the Heng clan. Perhaps Imperial Grandfather scolded Father this time not because of Father, but because he was pointing at the mulberry tree and scolding the locust tree? Oh! Gu Hengsha returned to normal. Are you saying that His Majesty is dissatisfied with the Heng clan? I don't know what has bewitched the Heng clan these days, but they are indeed a bit abnormal. Heng Budong is actually involved with the nest of 10,000 dragons. Could it be that His Majesty knows about such a secret? That's not a secret. Gu Tanjian laughed sinisterly. Father, there are already some secret channels for this matter. It's said that Lu Baiwei and Gu Chensha went to the burial ground and encountered Heng Budong, Yuan Shaxing, and Li Wangxing. They had a huge battle. What? There's such a thing? Where did you hear this information? Gu Hengsha suddenly realized that he had underestimated this son of his. I have spies in the Heng clan, and I've already made arrangements. Gu Tanjian's expression was calm. It's just that Father has been cultivating hard these past 3 months and hasn't reported it. Good. That's my good son, Gu Hengsha said. In the future, you'll definitely become someone great. Gu Hengsha was very happy. I didn't put the giant spirit god ring on you in vain. It's my duty to share Father's worries. Gu Tanjian said, Father, the only thing you can do now is to bear with it and let me do a series of things. Although Grandpa Imperial Calmness has given us many things, it's still a troublesome yamen. It's impossible to rely on those 3 to fight against the entire immortal Tao. This is all within His Majesty's calculations. Gu Hengsha frowned. Father definitely didn't establish the Calmness Celestial Agency to make a fool of itself. It's to accomplish great things. If Father wants to scheme, anything can be accomplished. At this time, a voice came from outside. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor can't even protect himself now. Otherwise, he would have stopped the calamity long ago. Why would he destroy the mountains and rivers? Since Uncle Modong is here, why don't you come in? Gu Tanjian didn't seem surprised at all. There was another person in the room. Who else could it be but Hung Budong? He was still wearing his bronze mask, but his eyes were exposed. He glared at Gu Tanjian. I didn't expect that you would dare to plant spies in my Hung clan. Ha ha ha, didn't the Hung clan plant spies by my father's side? Gu Tanjian wasn't afraid in the slightest. He rose to his feet and laughed loudly. Uncle Modong, go ahead and investigate. If you can find anything, I'll be convinced. Brat, you're so arrogant. Hung Budong suddenly flicked his finger, and a blood-colored beam shot toward Gu Tanjian like a hook. Brother Modong, you mustn't hurt my son. Gu Hengsha's expression changed dramatically. Crackle! The beam of blood-colored light was repelled by an invisible force when it reached Gu Tanjian. Gu Tanjian didn't move an inch. He just sneered. Hung Budong took 2 steps back and looked around. This isn't your power. Which expert is behind you? Expert? That's right, there's someone behind me. With that person's strength, I'm afraid that unless the Hing family's saint comes back to life, he won't be able to do anything to me. Uncle Budong, don't act rashly. Tell me why you're here today. Father was reprimanded in front of all the civil and military officials today, and it's all because of the Hing family. No matter what, the Hing family should compensate us. Gu Hengsha, you have a good son. Hung Budong sat down. All right, there's no need for us to be at loggerheads. In the end, we're still family. I'm here to tell you that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor can no longer control the situation. I'm afraid it won't be long before he faces a calamity. Do you think I'll believe you? Gu Hengsha said. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. Hung Budong waved his hand. He's defying the heavens, and the heavens should have sent a calamity down long ago. But he managed to suppress it. How can the heavens be suppressed by a human? Think about it. He has to suppress the heavenly Tao, the legion of gods, and the horde of demons. Now, he has to suppress the immortal Tao. No matter how high his cultivation base is, there has to be a limit. You're saying that the calamity this time is a sign that His Majesty can't suppress it? In that case, I have to prepare a backup plan? Gu Hengsha mused. Our Hung clan has already prepared a backup plan. Moreover, we can reap great benefits after the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's death. Hung Budong looked very pleased. Do you want to absorb the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's cultivation when he dies? That's just wishful thinking. Gu Hengsha looked around. If word of this spreads, your clan will be exterminated immediately. The Hung clan will also be reduced to dust by the Imperial Court. The Imperial Court? Hung Budong couldn't hide his laughter. The Imperial Court is about to collapse. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor knows that he doesn't have much time left, so he arranged for Liu Baiwei and the others, whom he trusts, to create the Department of Calming Immortals. What backup plans did the Hing clan have? Gu Hengsha asked. The Immortal Tao and the Black Heaven Earth Gate have been in contact for a long time, Hung Budong said. Not long ago, 3 true heavenly venerables hiding in some corner of the universe returned. They are the teachers of countless ancient emperors and the true immortal Tao. They are the primordial heavenly venerables Putua, and heavenly venerables Victorious. These 3 heavenly venerables have already summoned the sect leaders of the 72 sects to take charge. Even Li Wanlong is too scared to come out. Is this true? Gu Hengsha shuddered when he heard these 3 titles. These 3 heavenly venerables are only mentioned in the most ancient record. Rumor has it that they've existed since before the world was created. They're practically the incarnations of the primordial world. How could the 3 old geezers not come out in the face of such a huge phenomenon? But that's too far away from us. You just have to remember that the Heavenly Talisman Emperor will die. Hung Budong said, I came here this time to ask for your help. But I'll forget about it now. It seems that I'm more attracted to your son. Is that so? Gu Tanjian didn't care. Are you thinking of seizing the Buzhou Palace? You actually know everything. Who's behind you? Hung Budong found that he couldn't see through this junior. This is the second time you've asked this question. Gu Tanjian said, You won't get anything out of me. You won't be able to find out anything. The more you know, the less chance you have of surviving. Then come with me to the land of buried bones. Hung Budong stood up. I don't care who's behind you. You're like a mantis trying to stop a chariot in the face of such great power. The Hung clan's saint has already shown himself. The Hung clan has been planning for 10 years. We're watching your every move. Chapter 179. 3 days later, Gu Chunsha, the fourth, and Lu Baiwei gathered at the calming Immortal Department's yamen again. At this time, they had brought their trusted and capable subordinate. Gu Chensha's subordinates were Lu Yu and Long Zifei. Lu Baiyue's subordinates were Shi Xiang and a girl called Lu Huaiyue. This Lu Huaiyue's aptitude. Gu Chunsha was shocked to discover that Lu Huaiyue's aptitude was comparable to Long Zifei's. The Lu family actually produced such a talent? This kind of talent was enough to prosper a family and establish a strong foundation for hundreds of years. Huaiyue is a baby girl adopted by my father. Her surname wasn't Lu, but because her biological parents couldn't be found, my father added her into the Lu family's genealogy. Lu Baiwei introduced, She and I are like sisters. The 4th and the 19th, please take care of her in the future. I see. Gu Chunsha knew that the Lu family wasn't simple. To be able to recruit such a talent, it wasn't something that could be found with great power. It also depended on luck. Greetings, Your Highness the 4th, Your Highness the 19th. Lu Huaiyue hurriedly bowed. This girl's expression was cold and quiet. When she spoke, she gave off a feeling that she didn't belong to the mortal world. After careful observation, one would feel that she was mysterious and dignified. Her temperament surpassed many noble princesses. Since she is Baiyue's sister, I can't be stingy. Here is a bottle of purple blood rejuvenation pill. In the future, the calming Immortal Department will encounter many battles. One more pill will reduce the damage. Gu Chunsha took out a greeting gift. Thank you, Your Highness the 19th. Lu Huaiyue accepted it graciously. 19th, you are so extravagant. I am also affected by you. The 4th smiled bitterly and also took out a pill as a greeting gift. The 4th, what kind of fortuitous encounter did you have recently? This is a 60-year yang restoration pill. Lu Baiwei looked at the pill. It was black and white, floating up and down in the bottle. This pill seemed to be alive. If a cultivator's lifespan is up, they can use it to extend their life for 60 years. Many old guys in the celestial Tao want it. This isn't anything good either. The 4th scoffed, if you can't break through when your lifespan is up, then you really won't be able to. Using pills to extend your life is just like that. Sister Huaiyu, our calm celestial department will have many dealings with the celestial path in the future. You don't need to use this pill, just sell it to those old fellows at Tao Realm Transformation 7 or 8 or those who have lived for close to 300 years but haven't revived. They are about to die, and if they have a pill that can extend their lifespan for 60 years, they can even give up their lives. Without cultivating the Tao Realm 9 Transformation Glass Jade Body, one could at most live for 150 years. At that age, no matter how high one's cultivation was, a large amount of energy would be lost and one would face many tribulations. This was the natural law of heaven and earth, and one couldn't go against it. With the glass jade body, one's lifespan would be doubled to 300 years. But after 300, one's body would age really quickly. Only when one reached Tao Realm Transformation 16 would one be able to find a new body. However, every time he reincarnated, His soul would weaken a little and his cultivation would drop. If he reincarnated a few times, he would really die and disappear from the world. Since ancient times, cultivation was filled with tribulations and many people from the celestial sex died of old age. Thank you, Your Highness. Lu Huayue was also a subordinate. Gu Chunsha sized up the fourth subordinate. The fourth didn't have many subordinates, just 3 of them. They were all geniuses and they weren't old, around 12 to 13 years old. Fourth brother, it seems like you haven't brought out any real talents. 19th brother brought out Long Zifei, and I brought out Huayue. You should have people like that under your command, Lu Baiwe said. Do you think that geniuses are cabbages? Only the 2 of you don't know how lucky you are. No wonder father has high hopes for the 2 of you. The fourth Gu Huasha scolded. Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiwe looked at one another and knew that the fourth was speaking the truth. The fourth was a top talent and it wasn't so easy to get a top talent as a subordinate. Okay, Com's Celestial Department only has the few of us. All of you were maids in my residence or warriors under 19 or the fourth. That was a private system and didn't belong to the government. But now that you have entered, you have a rank. You belong to the government and your identities are different. Since you are paid, you have to work for the government. Lu Baiwe waved her hands. Our Com's Celestial Department is different from normal departments. We give you money and pills. We will also give you armor and weapons. We will even give you treasures. But remember, don't take anything for yourself, otherwise the law will be merciless. Yes. Everyone present was an outstanding person. How could they not know how powerful this was? They all agreed in unison. I've already explained the division of labor and structure of the Celestial Calmness Department. Gather for a meeting later and discuss how to carry out the registration of the Immortal Tao sect, as well as the collection of taxes from the Immortal Tao, Lu Baiwe ordered again. This subordinate will not disappoint you. Good, then you may leave. Lu Baiwe dismissed these people before saying, We will immediately head to the burial grounds. I believe that the Immortal Tao sects, demonic Tao sects, and even barbarian experts have already gathered there. Yes, our Com's Celestial Department is investigating the Immortal Tao, taking back the demonic Tao, and returning them to the righteous path. We will register them one by one and collect taxes. This time, we can go to the burial grounds and see those of the Immortal Tao. We can also implement our Com's Celestial Department's policies. The fourth thought long-term. Yes, this is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Gu Chunsha nodded. 19, this time, His Majesty has allocated the wealth of the Com's Celestial Department. Aside from the 9 sacred dragons, the most precious thing is the divine dragon armor. You can wear it, Lu Baiwe said. After we return from the burial grounds, we will return it to the department. According to the rules of the Imperial Court, that armor is meant to be worn on a mission, not for personal gain. Forget it. Although the divine dragon armor is powerful, the king's dragon armor on me has been refined by me for many days. I have already mastered it and mastered it. If it were something else, it might not be able to use it as well. Gu Chunsha waved his hand. Of the 4 transcendent artifacts on him, the heaven-offering decree merged into his mind, the dragonization pagoda merged into his dantian, and the demon-subduing blade and king's dragon armor turned into a belt that wrapped around his body. With a thought, he could wear them and hold them in his hand. That's true. Since you have refined a treasure that belongs to you, there is no need to neglect the essentials. No matter how talented the children of other families are, they are not as good as our own, the fourth said. If that's the case, let's move out immediately. Lu Baiwe waved her hand, and her innate gang chi wrapped around the 10,000 miles flying cloud flag. With a clap of thunder, the 3 of them disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, Gu Chunsha knew that she was already proficient in using the 10,000 miles flying cloud flag. This flag was an ancient treasure that he had obtained from the immortal worship hall of the Zhou Palace. It was miraculous and far surpassed ordinary immortal treasures. Even among the treasures of the ancient 72 Orthodox sects, there were only a few that could compare to this treasure. After a few dozen breaths, the power of the 10,000 miles flying cloud flag spread out, and the three of them arrived at the edge of the burial grounds. This place was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the border, and they were already deep in the wilderness. The fog here is much thinner. Gu Qinsha was shocked to discover that the last time he came here with Lu Baiwe, there was a thick fog that lingered all year round. Deep inside, they could not even see their own fingers. But now, the fog was thin and they could see the mountains of bones. There were white bones everywhere. There were humans and beasts, and they were piled up into a huge mountain. No one knew how many miles it was. The world has changed, and the poisonous fog has dispersed. This means that the seal of the burial grounds has disappeared, and all the demons and ghosts will come out. The fourth was worried. Yesterday, I received news that the seal of Father under the endless sea of sin has been broken, and demons have appeared in the central Sin province. Marquis Calming Sea has sent people to kill them. There are so many things in the world. Lu Baiwa shook her head, but we don't have to worry too much. The situation in front of us is just a test. It's just a skin disease. I think the tribulation of the way of heaven can only create this little bit of trouble. You have completely refined this 10,000 miles flying cloud flag, Gu Qinsha said. Then we have a lot more confidence. Not only that, I can also use 30 to 40% of the power of the Xuanhao dragon ship. According to the normal operation of this dragon ship, it needs 81 boatmen who have cultivated the glazed jade body to continuously input their innate gang qi. Only then can the dragon ship move, soar into the sky, and use 20% of its power. Lu Baiwe took the initiative to say, "Fortunately, my great massacre divine technique has endless innate gang qi. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to move this ship at all. It needs 81 cultivators who have cultivated the glazed jade body to operate a magic weapon. You can operate it alone?" The fourth bowed repeatedly. "I really admire you. What is this? If my cultivation goes further, I can sweep away all the inborn saints." Lu Baiwe was very domineering as she spoke. "But this is not my ability, it is the power of the Emperor's cultivation method." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just as the three of them were talking, a few rays of light came from the distance. They did not stop and went deep into the burial grounds. Gu Qinsha could clearly see that there were people using innate gang qi and magic treasures to fly at high speed. They were all experts among experts. "Things are getting interesting," the fourth said. "Looks like this burial ground is going to be an eye-opener for us. I have never seen a scene where the real experts of the immortal Tao are as numerous as clouds." Gu Qinsha said, "It's just that during the imperial court, when Father tore open space and captured Elder Wang Ji of the Crimson Firmament Profound Sect, I saw that the entire Crimson Firmament Profound Sect was grand and majestic. It formed its own space and time, and there were immortals like rain. That scene was truly majestic. It made me feel like I had returned to the primordial era." The Crimson Firmament Profound Sect is not considered strong among the 72 sections. The strongest, the Black Heaven Earth Sect, is truly as vast as the Heavenly Tao. The fourth seemed to have been to the Black Heaven Earth Sect before. "Let's go deep inside as well. We can't be ostentatious and hide our auras," Lu Baiwe said. Just as the three of them were hiding their auras, another ray of golden light flew over from the sky. However, this golden light seemed to have discovered the three of them. It suddenly descended, and the light dispersed. It was actually an old man dressed in Taoist robes. He was tall and had bright eyes that could see through one's heart. Chapter 180. Who are you? The three glanced at each other. The fourth stepped forward and asked, "Don't you know that the imperial court forbids the immortal Tao from recruiting disciples at will?" If you want to recruit a disciple, you have to register and pass the imperial court's inspection. Which sect are you from? So casually? You're already breaking the law. Imperial court? Which imperial court? This old immortal has been in seclusion for 100 years. I sensed the great changes in the world and came out. The old man's eyes were sharp. Since when did mortals dare to interfere with the affairs of the immortal Tao? You're from the imperial court? What dynasty is it now? So you're a cultivator who has been in seclusion for many years and doesn't know about the change of dynasties. Gu Chernsha also knew that the Heavenly Talisman dynasty had only been established for 15 years, which was nothing to the immortal Tao. Some immortal Tao cultivators had been in seclusion for decades and basically didn't care about the affairs of the mortal world. To the immortal Tao, cultivating qi and comprehending the great Tao were the most important things. The changes of the imperial court were like ants moving house. Not many people cared about it. Since you don't know, I'll explain it to you. Lu Baiyue said, now it's the Heavenly Talisman dynasty. The imperial court has conquered 100 countries and unified the world. The emperor is invincible and has investigated the 4 paths of immortal, demon, and God. If you want to take a disciple, I'm the department head of the newly established Calming Immortal Bureau. Report what sect it is and how many assets it has. After registering everything, paying taxes, and learning the laws of the imperial court, you can take a disciple. The old man's eyes widened and he looked at Lu Baiyue like she was crazy. Before she finished, he flicked his sleeve. Little girl, are you crazy? Nonsense, I don't know what you're talking about. As he flicked his sleeves, astral energy surged, pushing Gu Chernsha and Lu Baiyue away and sweeping the 4th away. When the astral energy touched Gu Chernsha, the dragonization pagoda in his body moved slightly and absorbed a portion of the astral energy, turning it into dragon energy inside the pagoda. He could even see the many formations inside the dragonized pagoda operating non-stop. The energy of the innate stellar energy was dispersed, and after countless vibrations, it fused with the sun and moon dragon blood in his body, turning into streams of tiny dragon-shaped runes. That stream of air was the dragon qi. As long as enough dragon qi was accumulated for a person to absorb, it could be like the tiger-wolf pill, improving a person's aptitude. Dragon qi was more mysterious than the tiger-wolf pill. However, it was extremely difficult to accumulate dragon energy. Ever since Gu Chernsha cultivated the Dragon Transformation Pagoda, all the accumulated dragon energy had yet to allow him to attain superior grade aptitude. This was because the Dragon Transformation Pagoda was actually not complete. It was merely an imitation of the Dragon Gate of the Great Desolate Era. In addition, his own cultivation was not high, so it was difficult for him to unleash the might of the pagoda. Luckily, since he returned from the Bone Burial Land, he cultivated hard for 3 months and comprehended the Great Massacre God technique and all sorts of other things. He used his heart to build up the clumsy fist cultivation system. Although he didn't break through to the Tao Realm 6 transformation, his strength was at least 2 to 3 times stronger than before. If Heng Budong were to fight him now, he might not be able to kill him. Did I make a mistake? Kid, you seem to have consumed some treasure. Your vital energy is actually shining. Although you used a special technique to hide it, I have never seen such a treasure. Are you not a human but some kind of spiritual herb that formed your human form? Okay, I will bring you back to refine pills. As for you, although you speak nonsense, I can see that you have a few treasures on you. Since you are from the dynasty, then don't stay in the mortal world. I will give you all your celestial fate. Follow me back to the mountain. The old man released large amounts of Xiantian energy, which wrapped up the 3 of them. His cultivation was really terrifying, and it was obvious that he was an amazing old monster in the celestial path. Scoff! Gu Chernsha, Lu Baiyue, and Gu Huasha scoffed coldly at the same time. They all felt that this old man was really lawless and despicable. He actually forcefully snatched. Although he cultivated the celestial path Xianmen sect technique, his actions were close to that of the demon path. Disregarding the law and forcefully snatching, according to the law, you should be killed. Lu Baiwei was the first to be angered. Not to mention her, even Gu Chensha, who had a gentle personality, a deep cultivation of qi, a clean mind, and a calm will, also had a fire. Crackle! A black lotus appeared above Lu Baiwei's head and flashed slightly. Large amounts of black lightning surged out like a tide, destroying everything in its path. The old man's Xiantian energy was completely blown away. What kind of cultivation did Lu Baiwei have? Back when she dual cultivated with Gu Chensha, she fused the sun and moon dragon blood, exchanged techniques, and combined the great massacre god art with the son of heaven's god bestowal art. She comprehended even more and was evenly matched with Li Wangxing. Who was Li Wangxing? He was the son of the monster race, Saint Li Wanlong. He was a top talent in the 10,000 dragon nest, and his cultivation exceeded many of the old people in the celestial path. Now, after 3 months of hard work, Lu Baiwei comprehended the technique, and her cultivation rose by 2 more realms. She reached Dao Realm Transformation 11, Soul Tentacle. She could use the power of the soul, and her combat strength was much higher than when she fought Li Wangxing. Great Massacre God Techniques God-Slaying Lightning. Gu Chensha saw through what kind of ability Lu Baiwei was using right away. Out of the many celestial path techniques, in terms of destructive strength, of course, they were all lightning technique. The theory of lightning techniques was the rubbing of Xiantian energy. They rotated within, changing one another, and then exploding out to clear the world. Every clan and sect had their own thunder technique. For example, when Gu Chensha and Lei Tianhui fought last time, Lei Tianhui used a lightning tribulation technique. As for the great massacre god technique's lightning energy, it was thousands of times better than the Lei family's technique. The moment the god-slaying lightning appeared, it brought with it an ancient aura. It was like the most ancient and inauspicious energy, the energy of destruction. It once again passed through space and descended upon the world. To use lightning techniques, one needed extremely strong mental strength and thick Xiantian energy. If one's Xiantian energy wasn't thick, one wouldn't be able to form lightning. If one's mental strength wasn't strong, one wouldn't be able to control lightning. Instead, one's Xiantian energy would go out of control and one wouldn't even be left. Moreover, no matter how strong one was, using lightning techniques would consume a lot of Xiantian energy and one's mental strength. Often, one would only be able to strike a few times or even dozens of times. Lu Baiwei's thunder art was able to unleash a large amount of lightning in one go. It was something that no one had ever heard of, let alone seen. Art of Dragon Nurturing, Absorb. At this moment, Gu Chensha also circulated the mental cultivation technique he had comprehended. All the pores on his body opened up, and before the Xiantian energy could dissipate, it was sucked into his body, into his Dantian, and into the Dragon Transformation Pagoda. He didn't make a move, but continued to absorb. The old man's Xiantian energy was extremely pure. If it was a one-on-one fight, Gu Chensha wouldn't be able to absorb it, because the old man could retract it with just a thought. He could even cause havoc in Gu Chensha's body, and the Dragon Transformation Pagoda might not be able to suppress it. However, Lu Baiwei's god-slaying lightning was extremely destructive, and it shattered the old man's Xiantian energy, giving Gu Chensha an opportunity. Gu Chensha didn't waste the past 3 months. From the Great Massacre God technique and the Great Devouring Spirit art, he comprehended some absorption techniques, and the speed at which he absorbed the Xiantian energy was significantly faster. His pores opened up, and his body flickered, absorbing the thousands of scattered Xiantian energy. Creak, creak. After the dragon transformation pagoda in his dantian absorbed the sciention energy, it started to spin. Sun Moon Dragon Fire. He secretly sacrificed some essence blood, and through the heaven's sacrificial talisman, he attracted the Sun Moon Dragon Fire to speed up the refinement. Therefore, within the dragon transformation pagoda in his body, a rice grain-sized dragon transformation inner core was condensed. The dragon transformation inner core was made of pure liquid, and it was condensed from dragon chi. I've finally condensed the dragon chi, this drop of dragon transformation inner core. Gu Chensha was overjoyed. If this dragon transformation inner core was given to an ordinary fool, he would instantly become a top-grade talent. The Tiger Wolf core allowed one to have mid-grade talent, and this dragon transformation inner core could promote one to a top-grade talent. According to the grade of the dragon transformation pagoda, as long as there was enough dragon transformation inner core, it could even turn a fool into a genius. If it was the desolate dragon sect, it could even turn one into a true innate sage. If I accumulate another 10 drops of dragon transformation inner core, I should be able to turn my talent into a genius. This shows that talent isn't determined by the heavens, and can only be obtained through acquired means. In the blink of an eye, Gu Chensha integrated the dragon transformation inner core into his body, and raised his talent. ZZZ. The moment the dragon transformation inner core merged into his body, he seemed to have comprehended something and became much smarter. Some of the martial arts questions that he couldn't understand seemed to have been enlightened. This was the increase in talent. After his talent increased, it seemed like he might be able to comprehend the Tao Realm 6 transformation and cultivate sciention earth energy. It only took him an instant to absorb the earth energy and condense the dragon transformation inner core. Lu Baiwe closed in, and in that instant, thousands of god-desolate lightning bolts were released from the Black Lotus. They actually had the power to destroy the world, and the destructive power was even stronger than the demon destroying the world that Li Wangxing used. The old man's sciention earth energy dissipated, but he was really strong. He hollered, and a golden light rose up around his body. It was as thick as a canopy, and he tried to block the god-desolate lightning. But at that moment the fourth moved. His body seemed to be able to teleport, and he appeared in front of the old man. He punched and pressed down. My heart is in the outer sky. This was his own Tao. Hong Long. With just one punch, the old man's golden light was extinguished. Then, Lu Baiyue's god-desolate lightning landed on his body, and there was the sound of a meteor crashing into the ground. Pung! The old man was smashed a few miles away, and he fell into the pile of bones. His body was tattered, and blood flowed non-stop. The three of them were like shadows surrounding the old man. The old man spat out a mouthful of blood and barely stood up. He stared at the three of them. Who are you? Chapter 181. What kind of cultivation technique is that? Why have I never seen it before? And you, little girl, why do you have such dense innate stellar chi? The elder struggled to get up, but due to his severe injuries, he did not dare to act rashly. Based on his experience, the three of them were all inconceivable. Their cultivations surpassed the scope of his understanding. Seal him and capture him. We'll interrogate him slowly. The fourth took a step forward and was about to attack when a voice suddenly came from afar. Have mercy! A man holding a folding fan and dressed in the uniform of the imperial court descended from the sky. He immediately knelt on one knee and greeted, "This lowly official, Jin Suebua, pays his respects to Princess Yuefu and the two kings." Jin Suebua? Lu Baiwe looked at the man and frowned. You are 7th Prince's advisor, an elder of the unbounded heavenly sect who was recommended by 7th Prince. Now, you are one of the 5 commanders of the Iron Blood Guard under Marquis Ironblood? This person was 7th Prince Gufasa's advisor, Mr. Jean. Jean Suebois? You are an elder of the unbounded heavenly sect, yet you are working for the imperial court in the mortal world. What happened? The elder recognized him. The two of them seemed to be very familiar. Taoist brother Luo Xiao, I remember that you were cultivating the 3 primordial extreme Tao force in seclusion. Have you finally mastered it? You do not understand the current situation. Do not act rashly. Let me explain. Jean Suebois stood up and said to Lu Baiwe, Princess Ufu, 2 kings, Taoist brother Luo Xiao was once a good friend of mine. He is the sect master of the 3 primordial sects. Although he does not belong to the ancient 72 sects, his influence is not small. He is famous in the immortal Tao. He has once vanquished demons and has always been meritorious. This time, he offended the 3 of you because he was ignorant and did not know the changes in the world. I hope the 3 of you can forgive him and allow him to redeem himself. Jean Suebois, what are you doing here? Lu Baiwei ignored him and asked instead. There are demons roaming about here. I'm afraid there's trouble. The Iron Blood Marquis ordered me to investigate. Jean Suebois said. Then do you know that I received orders from His Majesty to establish the Celestial Calmness Department? Your brother Luo Xiao not only disobeyed orders, he also committed treason and attacked a prince. Even the ancient 72 sects would be exterminated for such a crime. How did your limitless celestial sect get destroyed back then? You should still remember, right? The 4th spoke. He was not polite at all. He did not care about this former elder of the limitless heavenly sect. Gu Chunsha, on the other hand, was a reserved person. He observed the changes without saying anything. What? The limitless heavenly sect was destroyed? The old man Luo Xiao's expression changed drastically. Brother, the limitless heavenly sect disobeyed the orders of the imperial court. His Majesty tore apart the mountain gate and exterminated the entire sect. As a sinner, I was tempered by the 7th prince to redeem myself. Now that I'm working for the imperial court, I don't dare to have any improper thoughts. Jean Suebois said, the current emperor has completely surpassed the ancient emperor and suppressed the gods of good and evil. The ancient 72 sects have no choice but to listen to his orders. Brother, you must not make a mistake and listen to the arrangements of the Celestial Calmness Department. Obediently register the situation of your sect and pay taxes. As the first sect to listen to the imperial court's arrangements, you might receive great benefit. Brother Jean, you. Killing intent appeared in the old man Luo Xiao's eyes. Jean Suebois hurriedly went up and pressed on the old man Luo Xiao's shoulder. Brother, you must not act rashly. Let me explain the current situation to you. My time is limited. Lu Baiwe looked at the sky. Make a decision quickly. You're called Luo Xiao, right? 3 extreme sects sect master? I'll suppress you and talk to you later. Wait a moment. Jean Suebois knelt on one knee again. Princess, when the Celestial Calmness Department was first established, it should focus on conciliation. I once had some influence in the Celestial Tao and am willing to be at the Celestial Calmness Department's beck and call. I'll make those Celestial Tao sects obediently obey the law, pay taxes, and register them. Oh! Lu Baiwe retracted her palm. Jean Suebois, why are you helping me? You're old Sevens man. Do you want to betray your master? That's not a very good reputation. I was recommended by His Highness 7th, but I'm also an official of the Imperial Court. I'm loyal to the Imperial Court and His Majesty. Is that not okay? Even His Highness 7th has to be loyal to His Majesty. I'm still very clear on what is great loyalty and what is small loyalty, Jean Suebois said sincerely. Very good. Lu Baiwe clasped her hands behind her back. I'll give you an hour. How about you convince this Luo Xiao, so that you can fulfill your friendship? Many thanks, Princess. Jin Suebua's face lit up with joy. He then pulled Luo Xiu and said something to him. Luo Xiu's face darkened as he listened. After his anger, there was a hint of fear. Finally, it turned into fear. His expression changed a few times, and no one knew what he was thinking. Almost an hour later, Luo Xiu came over under Jin Suebua's lead. He knelt on one knee in front of Lu Baiwei. This lowly deity pays his respects to Princess Yuefu. This lowly deity didn't know the might of the imperial court and offended you. This lowly deity deserves death. This lowly deity is willing to make amends by registering with the Celestial Calmness Department and paying taxes. Very good. Register your sex members, assets, cultivation base, treasures, and inventory. After that, the Imperial Court will collect taxes according to your sex headcount and property. Since you're the first sect to submit to the Imperial Court, you'll be given a discount. Lu Baiwei didn't bat an eyelid and did things according to the rules. Yes. Luo Xiu took out a booklet from his bosom. This lowly deity is the sect leader of the Three Extremes sect. I have the name list of my sect and assets with me. I can give them to the Imperial Court. As for the taxes, this lowly deity doesn't have that many assets on me. Can you record them down for now? When this lowly deity returns to the sect, I'll take out enough taxes and hand them over to the Celestial Calmness Department 3 days later. Since you've said so, and the Imperial Court isn't an unreasonable person, you can go ahead. Lu Baiwei waved her hand and kept the 2 booklet. 3 days later, you can go to the Celestial Calmness Department to pay the taxes yourself. You can also send a disciple over. After paying the taxes, your sect will have the authority to accept disciples from anywhere in the world. However, you'll have to get the other party's permission to accept disciples. At the same time, you'll have to come to my Celestial Calmness Department to register. Yes, yes, yes. Luo Xiu hurriedly replied. Let's go. Lu Baiwei took the lead and flew into the depths of the burial ground. Gu Chensha and the 4th followed behind. Baiwei, I don't think that Luo Xiu will be convinced at all. I'm afraid that he won't really deliver the taxes 3 days later. I think we can place a restriction on him. There's no need. Even if we place a restriction, he can find someone to undo it. Lu Baiwei waved her hand. Moreover, it's not good for the Imperial Court to be too stingy. He's committed a great crime this time, so let's record it for now. If he goes back on his word, it'll add to his crime. When the time comes, we'll start with his sect. Moreover, I think that Jin Suebua might really persuade him to pay the taxes. What do you think Jin Suebua is thinking? What kind of trick is he playing? Gu Chensha pondered. I keep getting the feeling that he's not very loyal to Old 7, but he doesn't want to rely on us either. As for loyalty to the Imperial Court, that's even more unreliable. Regardless of what he thinks, our calming immortal department does indeed need people like him to go around persuading the smaller immortal Dao sections. The ancient 72 sects have their own dignity. They won't submit to the Imperial Court for the time being. We can't do anything about the 72 sects, so we can only clean up the smaller sects first. The 4th also had his own ideas. However, I think that forcibly collecting taxes might cause a backlash. I think we should still give them some benefits using both carrot and stick. Our current savings are shallow, and there's nothing to give. Lu Baiwei frowned. I'll consider this matter. The immortal Dao isn't peaceful either, and the sects fight with each other. Perhaps we can start from this aspect. Yes, I think that the Imperial Court can intervene in the grievances between the immortal Dao sections. Gu Chensha said, we can help the weaker ones, and they'll naturally rely on the Imperial Court. That works too. Lu Baiwei's eyes lit up. In the end, our calming immortal department is still too weak. Let's go and snatch Buzhou Palace. If my cultivation improves a few more times and my soul leaves the body, then I can even take a look at the ancient 72 sections. Lu Baiyue's cultivation was at Tao Realm Transformation 11, Soul Tentacle. She still had to cross Soul Snatching at Transformation 12, Demon Swallowing and Ghost Eating at Transformation 13, and Soul Leaving the Body at Transformation 14. Only when her soul left the body would she be able to use the power of the soul. The Great Massacre God technique's killing strength would increase by at least 10 times. Even some experts above Tao Realm Transformation 20 wouldn't be able to do anything to her. Moreover, she could truly activate the vast Thousand Mirror, Dragon Ship, 10,000-mile Flying Cloud Flag, and some other treasures on her body. The current Lu Baiyue was a terrifying person. Seeing how she defeated Luo Xiao, one could tell how strong she was. At that moment, Luo Xiao and Jin Suebua stood on the spot and looked on as the three of them left. Unprecedented hatred appeared on Luo Xiao's face. "Brother Jin, I know what you said just now. Are the celestial sects really going to submit to the imperial court? Since ancient times, the imperial court has never collected taxes from the celestial path. Even the ancient emperors didn't dare to do that. So what if they are ancient emperors? They can't even compare to the Heaven Talisman Emperor. If we submit now, we won't suffer any losses." Jin Suebua's eyes swirled. "Brother Jin, I have seen it clearly. We were good friends in the past and I am afraid that you will suffer losses. I know that you have been in secluded meditation for 100 years and your cultivation has improved, but you are definitely not a match for Lu Baiyue. Is the Great Massacre God technique really so strong?" Luo Xiao was unhappy. "I was too careless and didn't use many of my skills. Even if you execute it, it's all in vain. You haven't truly witnessed the power of the Great Massacre divine art. All cultivation techniques have their own limit. Innate astral energy can't be limitless, but the Great Massacre divine art is truly inexhaustible." Jin Suebua said, "Lu Baiyue is the true successor of the Heaven Talisman Emperor. She is the only one who has cultivated the Great Massacre God technique. It is normal that you are not her match." "Do I really have to pay taxes?" Evil flames rose in Luo Xiao's heart again. "Of course, if you don't pay taxes, they will dare to attack the sect and exterminate you. Moreover, without the Celestial Path sects to help you, the Black Heaven Earth sect and the Nest of 10,000 Dragons were humiliated. They even endured it, so why can't you? And if you endure it, who knows, in the future, when the Black Heaven Earth sect falls, your three extreme sect might have a chance to rise again. You are also a person with deep cultivation. Can't you see that the world has changed and a new era has arrived?" Jin Suebua said. "Then in Brother Jin's opinion, what should I do?" Luo Xiao said doubtfully. "I know that Brother Jin has been hiding in the dark and has already mastered the many Tao techniques recorded in the Peerless Heavenly Book. I can only follow your lead." Chapter 182. Submit to the Imperial Court? What do you mean? Luo Xiao muttered, "We celestial cultivators are high above. Even if a random disciple comes to the mortal world, the Emperor has to respectfully call him immortal. 200 years ago, I was still at the 7th transformation of Tao Realm and came to the mortal world. Many emperors had to bow to me when they saw me. Why did the world change so quickly? Times have changed. Otherwise, why would there be such a huge change? Black energy swallowing the sun, heaven and earth shaking, demon stars descending?" Jin Suebua looked around. The imperial court is a piece of fat meat. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor might go crazy one last time and then collapse. We can hide and wait for a chance. Maybe we can seize the chance and stand out when the calamity arrives. We can become saints and ancestors. Wouldn't that be great? Brother Jin, what you say makes sense. In front of such a situation, even the ancient 72 sects can't protect themselves, let alone a second-rate celestial sect like me? Luo Xiu finally thought it through. That's right. Jean Suebwa said, actually, you paying taxes might not be without benefits. At least you can get the protection of the imperial court. I know that your three extreme sect also has enemies. You came out this time because your lifespan is almost up and you want to find a good body to possess. It's best if it's an unparalleled genius. Only then can you make up for the loss of your soul. Secondly, you sensed the huge change in the world and wanted to find treasures to increase your strength to deal with your enemies. For example, Old Man Guan of the Thousand Puppet School and Old Man Corpse of the Stone Tomb sect. But if you submit to the imperial court, these two enemies and your sect can be easily dealt with. The imperial court also has many pills that can increase lifespan. You can use the savings of your sect to exchange for them. In that case, I can endure humiliation and live in exchange for a foundation that will last for 1,000 years. Luo Xiu clasped his hands. Brother Jean, your plan is thorough. In the future, help me plan more. Of course. If we work together, there will be more space between us. Jean Suebwa laughed loudly. Let's go. This time, there is a huge change in the burial grounds. The Buzhou Palace that suppresses this place is about to appear. I wonder who will obtain it. After the two of them came to an agreement, they also went deep into the burial land. At this time, Gu Qinsha, the fourth, and Lu Baiwei had already reached the crack where the Buzhou Palace had appeared. As soon as they arrived, they found that the original crack had expanded, causing the entire Buzhou Palace to appear in the middle of the burial ground. Even though it was broken everywhere, it was majestic and still displayed the majesty of the last son of heaven, Zhou. After the Zhou dynasty, there were no more emperors, only emperors. It could be said that Buzhou Palace was the last palace of the emperor. Perhaps he could find the secret to the end of the way of the Son of Heaven. So many experts have come. Lu Baiwa looked around. There were experts coming in continuously, directly landing in Buzhou Palace, knocking and smashing everywhere in an attempt to obtain treasures. There were actually people fighting within. Experts from all kinds of forces had rushed here. Everyone wanted to obtain Buzhou Palace. Even if they could not obtain the palace, it was not bad to be able to obtain pills and treasures in the chaos. In the ancient books that Gu Qinsha had read, it was recorded that every time a treasure appeared, it would cause all kinds of battles between the immortals, demons, and barbarians. In the history books of the past 500 years, there had been a few treasures appearing in the Divine Prefecture Pass, and every time there was a bloodbath. In the most recent record, it was 60 years ago. In Hong Province, an ancient immortals cave was unearthed. In the end, the experts of the immortal Dao sects and the demonic path all gathered and fought fiercely. The aftershocks razed all the big and small cities in Hong Province to the ground, and countless people died. In order to snatch the treasures, why would the immortals and demons care about the common people? Whoosh whoosh. A few rays of light descended and greeted the three. Princess Yuefu, Prince Qin, Prince Hua. Gu Qinsha looked and saw that it was Bao Ming'er, Luo Wu, Mu Yexiao, Yin Xian, and Huangfu Fengyun. These five were the outstanding disciples of the five great immortal Dao sections. Bao Ming'er and Luo Wu had returned to the sect when the world changed, and now they had come out again. Originally, Bao Ming'er and Luo Wu addressed each other as brother and sister. However, in front of so many outsiders, Bao Ming'er and Luo Wu both chose to address him as Prince Qin. Everyone, did you come to the burial ground for the treasures of Buzhou Palace? Lu Baiwen knew that Gu Qinsha had recruited Bao Ming'er and Luo Wu. At the same time, she also knew that Bao Ming'er was probably from the Great Wei dynasty, but she did not say anything. When treasures appear, immortals and demons fight over them. This is a normal thing. Mu Yexiao's tone was cold. I heard that the imperial court established the Celestial Pacification Department, with Princess Yuefu and the two princes as the department heads. First, they have to collect taxes from the immortal Dao sections. This is unheard of. It has never happened since ancient times. Brother Mu Yexiao is a disciple of the Great Thousand Mysteries sect. What do you think of the tax collection from the imperial court? Lu Baiwen knew that these disciples were angry. All lands under the heavens belong to the imperial court. The immortal Tao sects are also subjects of the imperial court. Those sage families pay taxes every year, and the immortal Tao sects are no exception. All right. As long as the Black Heaven Earth sect pays the taxes, the Great Thousand Mysteries sect has nothing to say. Mu Yexiao was very tactful. He did not want to directly oppose the imperial court. When he saw the Celestial Talisman Emperor capture Elder Wangji from the Crimson Firmament sect, any disciple with a brain would not choose to fight the imperial court head-on. This is the policy of the imperial court, and the Celestial Dances sect supports it. Luo Wu expressed her opinion. Princess Yuefu, I will go to the Celestial Pacification Department in a few days to discuss the tax payment and cooperation with the imperial court. The Celestial Dances sect has held a meeting to support the imperial court. However, as the first sect to respond to the imperial court should give us some preferential treatment. Of course there will be preferential treatment. Lu Baiwe smiled. The Celestial Pacification Department has just been established. If the Celestial Dances sect can help us, it will be a win-win situation. Seeing Luo Wu express her opinion, Bao Ming did not speak. Although she was an outstanding disciple of the Bountiful Treasures sect, she did not have the authority to decide on such a big matter. The sect would not agree to pay taxes to the imperial court. As for the other disciples, Mu Yexiao, Yin Xian, and Huang Fu Fengyun were also silent. The sect was very hostile to the imperial court. This time, they had come to destroy the imperial court structure and assist the new child of destiny. The barbarian experts are here. At this time, Luo Wu pointed to the front. At this time, a group of barbarians came from afar. All of them were tall and mighty, and their bodies were like giant bears and apes. They were shrouded in black gas, and their cultivation was extremely high. Of course, barbarians with low cultivation were useless here. The Buzhou Palace, the burial ground, was so important that even if Yi Ming was in the barbarian race, he would not be qualified to come here. Those who could come here were all barbarian kings, even barbarian emperors, and sect masters like Yuan Shaoxing. The person who came is the crown prince of one of the 10 barbarian tribes, the Devil Temple tribe. Bao Ming pointed to the group of barbarians. There was a young barbarian in the middle. He was not wearing animal skins, but silk brocade clothes. His hair was loose, and his nose and ears were strung with golden rings. His eyes were dark green with a hint of blood red, and his body was emitting wisps of black smoke, like flames. The crown prince of the barbarian Devil Temple tribe appeared here and looked over. Everyone could only feel the chilly wind blowing and the cries of ghosts and God. "Kill this group of people for me," the barbarian crown prince ordered. It was in the barbarian language, but everyone present could understand it. The barbarians and humans were irreconcilable enemies. When the barbarian crown prince saw Gu Chernxia and the others, he knew that they were officials of the imperial court. He wanted to kill them to relieve the hatred in his heart. Rumble. There were experts beside the barbarian crown prince. 7 or 8 barbarian experts flew over fiercely. They were all wearing animal skins, and they had no armor or weapons. They were barehanded, and their fist techniques were extremely fierce. When they pounced, they were thousands of steps away, and they punched at the same time. Innate stellar energy that could topple mountains and overturn seas surged toward him. These people were actually experts at the 7th or 8th transformation of the Tao realm. The thickness of their earth energy far exceeded that of celestial path disciples. The barbarians were tall and muscular like giants. The meridians and acupoints in their bodies could store more Xiantian earth energy. Normally speaking, barbarians had 2 to 3 times the potential of humans. This was why the barbarian race had bullied humans for tens of thousands of years, and they had never fought back. Thinking about it, normal barbarian race soldiers could fight 1 against 3, so how could they fight against 5? Gu Qinsha was the first to head up. His body was really quick and his movement technique was extraordinary. In a flash, he turned into a few shadows and absorbed all the Xiantian earth energy into his body. Everyone saw the mountain toppling and ocean moving Xiantian earth energy strike them, but with a slight movement from Gu Qinsha, the few shadows moved in all directions. All the earth energy that touched his body was absorbed by the whirlpool and turned into nothingness. Old 19 is so fast. The fourth was shocked. He must have already comprehended the 10,000 miles flying cloud escape. That's why he's able to move so quickly. His king dragon armor has the ability to fly, and it's connected to his heart's blood, making it a part of his body. He can also use some of the abilities of the 10,000 miles flying cloud escape that require connate earth energy, Lu Baiwe said as a giant longbow appeared behind him. There were 2 arrows on the bow. She had comprehended the secret technique of the 10,000-mile flying cloud flag and taught it to Gu Qinsha. Gu Qinsha absorbed Luo Xiu's Xiantian earth energy and formed a drop of dragon transformation Niden in the dragon transformation pagoda to raise his talent to high grade. With the increase in talent, he comprehended the 10,000-mile flying cloud movement. Even the Son of Heaven sealing technique, Great Massacre God technique, various other martial arts, and even the clumsy fist had a fundamental breakthrough. As they comprehended one another, their strength increased really quickly. Pung pung. Just as he absorbed the Xiantian earth energy, the bowstring on Lu Baiyue's back made a sound and the 2 arrows shot straight towards the barbarian crown prince. Lu Baiyue had once used this move to force Li Wangxing into a sorry state. Now, her cultivation level had increased by several fold. The Great Massacre God art had evolved into the extrication bow. The power of the Chong Chong and the impermanence arrows were extremely great, and their shooting range was also extremely long. Even the barbarian crown prince was unable to dodge them. He only reacted when the arrows were about to reach his chest. Roar! The barbarian crown prince was an expert after all. He instinctively activated some kind of divine power. Pitch-black flames surged and turned into a shield to block the 2 arrows. However, the 2 arrows were extremely fast and their power was not something an ordinary divine power could block. They pierced through the shield and pierced through the barbarian crown prince's body. After the 2 arrows pierced through the barbarian crown prince's body, the barbarian crown prince disappeared and melted into the 2 arrows. Not even his bones were left. Only dust was left floating in the wind. After the 2 arrows killed the barbarian crown prince, they made a turn in the air and pierced through all the experts of the barbarian race, turning them into ashes. This series of changes happened in the blink of an eye. Chapter 183. In the blink of an eye, the barbarian race crown prince and 8 experts were killed by Lu Baiyue. This bunch of aggressive barbarian race experts were left with just a speck of dust. Luo Wu, Mu Yexiao, Bao Ming'er, and the others' mouths were agape. They didn't dare to believe that Lu Baiyue had such skills. That barbarian race crown prince's cultivation is at the Tao Realm 13 transformation, demon-swallowing ghost. Moreover, his innate gang qi was incomparably vigorous. He cultivated the 9 deaths inverse blood art of the barbarian race's saint. His techniques were endless, and it was unknown how many disciples of the immortal Tao had been defeated by his hands. There were even a few female disciples of sex who were captured by him and had their yin harvested to replenish their yang. Their essence was sucked dry and they died. I wanted to kill him for a long time, but he is really cunning and has a few treasures on him. If he wants to escape, Even people who are a few realms higher than him won't be able to kill him. Luo Wu's cultivation was really high and she had obtained Gu Chencha's 7 Saint Heart refining pill. She also cultivated hard, and she was a genius who comprehended the principles of Tao in the human realm. She had already reached the Tao realm 14 transformation, Yuan spirit astral projection. However, she wasn't confident in beating the Crown Prince, not to mention killing him instantly. He didn't even have a chance to escape. One must know that the Crown Prince was someone who was personally taught by the Barbarian Saint. The Barbarian Saint was likely Wanlong of the nest of 10,000 dragons. He was high above, and was even stronger than the evil god. It was tough to find someone stronger than him among the 72 sections. The saint's disciple had too many secret techniques. Luo Wu calculated that if she wanted to force the Crown Prince into a corner and kill him, she would need 7 to 8 people to lay out a formation to trap him and refine him. Moreover, the Crown Prince had many followers and could summon barbarian race experts to help at any time. Lu Baiwei easily killed the Crown Prince. Not only did it shock Luo Wu and the others, but it also shocked many of the experts in the distance. All of a sudden, many eyes looked over. There were many experts here. There were demonic immortals, demons, factionless cultivators, and even other barbarian race experts. All of them had their own plans, but they didn't dare to attack as they were afraid that others would take advantage of them. They restrained one another and occasionally there would be conflicts, but they would instantly calm down. However, the appearance of Lu Baiwei seemed to have broken some kind of balance. From a certain perspective, Lu Baiwei represented the most powerful imperial court in the world. Ignoring the gazes of many people, Lu Baiwei flicked her finger, and a black lotus appeared in front of Gu Chernxia. I've just killed 8 barbarian experts, including the Devil Killer Crown Prince. Their essence, blood, flesh, and souls have all been absorbed into this black lotus. Gu Chernxia heard a voice in his mind. It was Lu Baiwei's telepathic message. This was also one of the abilities of the soul tentacles. I don't need to absorb the flesh and soul essences inside, but you can sacrifice yourself. Perfect. Gu Chernxia stored the black lotus into his armor and stealthily sent it into the Sun-Moon altar. He didn't start the ritual immediately. Instead, he waited. After studying the ancient books, he had mastered many sacrificial methods. In the past, he had killed barbarians and absorbed their blood essence and souls. The sacrificial method was to obtain heavenly dew. However, he had obtained tens of thousands of kilograms of heavenly dew from the Zhou Palace. It would be a waste to take more. The blood essence and souls of so many experts, especially the Devil Killer Crown Prince, could be sacrificed in many ways to obtain different things. For example, by sacrificing a few turtles, one could obtain the elixir of immortality. Or by sacrificing a few other herbs, such as the sunflower and the moongrass, one could obtain the yin-yang qi pearl. This pearl could harmonize the yin and yang qi in the body and maintain a balance. It could also be used to cultivate an avatar that was exactly the same as oneself. In addition, if the essence of 5 metals and kuei water were sacrificed, one could condense a weapon soul. If the weapon soul was inserted into any weapon, the weapon would immediately have spirituality and change. That was not all. If he used his own blood to seep into it and sacrifice the jade, he could obtain the heavenly soul jade. This jade was the best material for setting up formations and refining magic treasures. It was thousands of times better than the beast soul stone. In addition, there were all kinds of strange sacrificial methods. In short, the blood essence and souls of experts were like currency to the heavenly Tao. With this currency, one could buy all kinds of things from the heavenly Tao through the heavenly sacrificial talisman. This was also the reason why many big shots in the world were determined to obtain the heavenly sacrificial talisman. As long as there were souls, one could use the sacrificial talisman to obtain things that could not possibly exist. It could extend one's lifespan, break through realms, and even become a god. In the heavenly sacrificial talisman, the biggest sacrificial ceremony was the great god investiture ceremony. It was the ancient emperor who killed countless demons, and heavenly devils. He gathered the heavenly dragon chi of tens of thousands of people and sacrificed them to the heaven and earth. This would allow one to obtain the position of a god and become a god. Gu Qinsha wanted to use these souls as sacrificial offerings. In fact, he wanted to carry out a heavenly divination ceremony. In ancient times, when the emperor offered sacrifices to the heaven, he also used it to predict the future. He even held a great ceremony to predict the future before a great war. Since Gu Qinsha had obtained so many powerful souls this time, he decided to use the heavenly divination ceremony to predict the realm after the clumsy fist. He wanted to use the heavenly Tao to perfect his cultivation technique. This was a method to steal from the heavens. Now, he wanted to use the clumsy fist's realm to advance to the Tao realm's 6 transformations, but he couldn't. This was because he wasn't smart enough and couldn't deduce the later transformations of the clumsy fist. But if he used the heavenly divination ceremony to deduce the future transformations of the clumsy fist, he would be able to quickly advance to the 6th transformation or even the 7th transformation. Right now, he had accumulated a lot of energy. He just lacked that last step. The clumsy fist was at the initial stage, and it was far from the Emperor God investiture technique. But this was the fist technique that was most suitable for him. It was a fist that seeped into the essence of the soul, allowing him to display all his potential and even the power of being one with nature. With the sacrifice of the 7 to 8 experts from the barbarian race and the Masha Crown Prince, he would be able to use the heavenly Tao to deduce. This was the greatest benefit. Everything else had nothing to do with cultivation. The difference between the Tao realm 5 and 6 transformations was too huge. He had to break through for the essence to change. Not to mention anything else, once he broke through and had Xiantian earth energy, he would be able to use the King Dragon armor, Demon Descending Blade, and the Dragon Transformation Pagoda in his body. Gu Qinsha now understood that the heavenly Tao was just a tool. He could borrow it when he could and give it up when he needed to. That was the way of the universe. Lu Baiwei seemed to have done something insignificant by killing the barbarians. Everyone, the barbarians are evil. To the immortal Tao, they are evil. Are you willing to help me clean up the barbarians here? She was naturally asking Mu Yexiao and the others. The barbarians and the immortal Tao were enemies since ancient times. Sometimes, when the barbarians invaded the divine continent pass, the immortal Tao sects would send people down to help the imperial court. Because the barbarians believed in evil gods, they practiced demonic cultivation techniques and killed many living beings. They also liked to use the disciples of the orthodox immortal Tao sects as human cauldrons to refine demons. Some barbarian experts hid in the dark and attacked the disciples of the immortal Tao. This is the wilderness, and there are many barbarian experts here. We should be careful and not cause trouble. Mu Yexiao clearly didn't want to get involved in this mess. The current situation was very delicate for the immortal Tao. After the phenomenon, the imperial court became the target of public criticism. The immortal Tao sects had set the rules to wait and see. Of course, they couldn't help the imperial court kill the barbarians. Especially recently, the heavenly talisman emperor wanted to collect taxes from the immortal Tao sects and even wanted them to work as slaves. This had greatly offended the interests of the immortal Tao. If it wasn't for the heavenly talisman emperor's unparalleled power, the immortal Tao would have sent their disciples here to help the rich landlords and ambitious clans rebel. The most important thing now is to obtain the treasures of Buzhou Palace. This is the mission the sect gave us. Inxian and Huangfu Fengyun didn't want to fight the barbarians either. It was a strenuous and unrewarding task. After all, there were many demons here, so they naturally had to conserve their strength. That's fine. The imperial court doesn't force people to do things against their will. It's the nature of a cultivator to exterminate demons and protect the Tao. Lu Baiwe didn't want to say anything else and strolled towards Buzhou Palace. At this moment, Buzhou Palace was completely revealed in front of them. Layers upon layers of palaces, stretching for hundreds of li, ghostly figures could be seen everywhere. They were the demons and unknown experts that came to search. Some of the demons had their own plans, but after seeing Lu Baiwe's might when she killed the devil killer crown prince, they all hid themselves and didn't want to fight her head-on. The experts of the other tribes also scattered far away to avoid being targeted by this malignant star. Everything under the heavens belongs to the imperial court. Lu Baiwe came to Buzhou Palace and looked around. Everyone, listen up. Buzhou Palace has come out and belongs to the imperial court. Those who don't have anything to do, leave immediately. You have half an hour to leave. If you don't, you will be punished for disobeying the imperial court's laws and will be killed. Lu Baiwe's voice reverberated in the air. The great massacre god art's innate astral chi rippled and her will was everywhere. Oh my god! When Gu Churnsha heard this voice, his heart trembled. Baiwe is going to clear the area. This is too high profile. Even though he has mastered the great massacre god art, his cultivation level is still too low. He is going against everyone. A battle is unavoidable. Although he wasn't afraid of battle, there were too many experts this time. It could be said that he was the enemy of the whole world. It was better to keep a low profile and get rich quietly. He looked at the fourth. The fourth spread his hands. His meaning was clear. Whatever Lu Baiwe says, we will do. Who's afraid of who? It seems like the fourth is also a fearless person. I am used to being cautious in this life. Oh well, I will have a big fight with the fourth Baiwe. What's there to be afraid of? Gu Churnsha thought about it and couldn't help but laugh. The Imperial Court's Celestial Pacification Department is investigating Buzhou Palace. Everyone better leave, or else they will be killed. Such arrogance! At this moment, someone actually dared to make a noise. A voice came from outside Buzhou Palace. The person who made the sound was still far away. However, he was faster than the sound and had already appeared in front of the three of them. It was a young man. Gu Churnsha would never forget his appearance, because he was a natural-born saint, and there were no immortals in this world. Chapter 184. Last time, Fa Wuxian had caused a huge ruckus in ancient dusty sand castle, and no one had been able to do anything to him. If he had not been wary of the laws of the imperial court, perhaps everyone would not have been able to escape. It was also from that time that Gu Churnsha realized how terrifying an innate saint was. At the same cultivation level, an innate saint could defeat hundreds of geniuses and dozens of unparalleled geniuses. Currently, among the 72 ancient eras sects of the Path of Immortals and the various sage clans, there was an endless stream of outstanding people. However, only Fa Wuxian could be considered an innate sage. At the banquet held by the Celestial Talisman Emperor, Gu Churnsha saw a true gathering of geniuses. Thinking about it, they were all far inferior to Fa Wuxian. At the banquet held by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, Fa Wuxian didn't show up. However, Lei Clan's Lei Tianhui and Fan Clan's Fan Ri were there. In order to prevent Fa Wuxian from suddenly injuring others, Gu Churnsha instantly released the King Dragon armor and wrapped himself tightly. At the same time, he held the demon-subduing blade in his hand and circulated the qi and blood in his dantian. He could enter the space of the Sun-Moon altar at any time. He knew that although his cultivation had skyrocketed recently and his battle prowess was incomparable to before, Fa Wuxian could still kill him in an instant. It was an instant kill, just like how Lu Baiwe killed the Masha Crown Prince. No one would have any time to react. Fortunately, with his help, Lu Baiwe had achieved great mastery in his divine art. He had combined the Emperor's god sealing art and the great god slaughtering art together, triggering some kind of mysterious potential in the unseen world, which was enough to resist Fa Wuxian. Fa Wuxian, as a member of the legalism sect, you disobeyed the imperial court's orders and went against the Emperor. Do you really think that your innate saint talent makes you invincible? Lu Baiwa said coldly. She wasn't afraid of Fa Wuxian at all. You're using the imperial court and the Emperor to pressure me? Fa Wuxian put his hands behind his back. Unfortunately, it's useless. Cut the crap and leave. I won't kill you. How arrogant. Lu Baiwa waved her hand, and a golden token appeared in her hand. It was engraved with the words, Fa Wuxian. I hold this token in my hand, representing the Emperor. If you abide by the Emperor's authority, kneel down immediately and leave this place. I won't make things difficult for you for the sake of the school of legalism. It's as if I'm here. Fa Wuxian looked at the token and did not move. He said, Don't take out this stupid token. It can scare others, but it can't scare me. Very good. Lu Baiwa nodded. Seeing this token is like seeing His Majesty. I can say that even a real saint would have to kowtow to His Majesty, not to mention someone like you who only has the potential to become a saint. Looking at your personality, when you become a saint in the future, don't tell me you'll be an arrogant saint? A saint who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth? At such a young age, he has already brought disaster to the legalists. Whatever you say. Legalism is legalism, and I am me. I'm not comprehending the path of the Dharma saint. Fa Wuxian looked at the vast void in silence. I know what you're thinking. If you want to attack the school of legalism because I don't respect the Emperor's authority, then go ahead. I don't care about the survival of the school of legalism. The path of the saint is about being unique. How can someone like you, who only knows how to copy from others, compare to this level of cultivation? The ignorant are fearless. Lu Baiwa put away the token of the regal propria presence. She had already achieved her goal. Fa Wuxian saw the token and did not bow, which was already a great disrespect. If this was reported to the imperial court for discussion, the legalists would not be able to escape punishment. Fa Wuxian had already expressed his intention to go against the heavenly talisman emperor and the imperial court. That meant they were enemies. I heard that you've mastered the essence of the great massacre god technique. Let me see how strong this technique is. I heard that you beat up Li Wangxing and forced him to flee. I am a little shocked. Last time, you were just at Dao Realm Transformation 6. I saw that you were weak, so I didn't fight you. Now that you are interesting, you have attracted my attention. Fa Wuxian reached out and grabbed the air. Instantly, the world spun and there was a feeling of a galaxy whirlpool. In Gu Chencha's eyes, the scenes around disappeared. In the world, there was only Fa Wuxian. Behind Fa Wuxian was a vast galaxy. The galaxy flowed and he was the only one in the universe. With just that grab, Gu Chensha felt like he was shrinking. He was sucked into his palm, turning into dust and not existing anymore. Such a martial Tao shocked the world and broke away from the mortal world. It wasn't the power of Xiantian energy, but the power of the soul. Good timing. Lu Baiwa was at the front. She was expressionless and a lotus appeared above her head. The lotus wasn't black, but one black and one white. A word appeared in the white and black lotus. There were only 2 strokes. 1 stroke, 1 pull. 2 strokes pulled out a human word. Next to the character, a bow and 2 arrows appeared, forming the character for Buddha. It shot out 10,000 streaks of golden light and there was a cracking sound around like something was being broken. Fa Wuxian took a step forward. The clothes on his body fluttered even though there was no wind. Instantly, the sky turned into a purgatory flame ocean. The ground was magma and the sky was flames. Gu Chencha's mouth was dry and all the blood in his body was evaporating. He was about to turn into a dried-up corpse. He knew that these were illusions formed by the power of the soul, but he couldn't break them at all. Fa Wuxian had reached a level where he could ignore all Xiantian energy. Peng! At that moment, Lu Baiwe stepped forwards. In the black and white lotus above her head, there was a bow beside the human word. The two arrows shot out and a mountain word appeared. Human and mountain. That was celestial. The celestial word surged out of the black and white lotus. Immediately, the sky was high and the clouds were light. The beautiful mountains and rivers were picturesque, breaking through Fa Wuxian's flame ocean. Oh! Fa Wuxian's eyes suddenly turned sharp. At that instant, under his psyche, the world changed again. The world was filled with swords and sabers that hung in the air. They were sharp and could instantly dismember a person. At that instant, Gu Chernsha felt like he was being sliced into pieces. He hovered between life and death. In his body, his qi and blood flowed in reverse, out of his control. They crazily drilled into his meridians and acupoints. He couldn't even move a finger, much less enter the sun-moon altar. However, he didn't panic. He forced his mind to operate. Impressive. Impressive. In that instant, my mind changed and my psyche battled. It's even more dangerous than Xiantian energy. If I'm not careful, my mind will collapse and I'll become an idiot. Then, my Xiantian energy will go berserk and I'll be reduced to dust. He endured the pain and observed carefully. He was able to learn many things. From this psyche, he could see Fa Wuxian's Tao and Lu Baiyue's Tao. Fa Wuxian's every move was filled with battle intent. He fought against the heavens, the earth, the people, the imperial court, and all living things. His Tao was the Tao of the Dosheng. Among the ancient sages there was no battle sage. He wanted to open up this Tao and become a battle sage. Gu Chernsha understood the concept in his heart and peered into its true essence. It was this moment of comprehension that greatly benefited his cultivation. Lu Baiwe, you're no match for me. In the psyche world, Fa Wuxian created countless weapons. Sword and saber filled the universe. All the weapons formed a Do word in the middle. It represented all the battles and the true meaning of battle. This was Fa Wuxian's true ability. However, Lu Baiwe was still expressionless and stoic. Above his head, the mountain next to the celestial word in the black and white lotus suddenly collapsed. However, two strokes appeared out of nowhere. One horizontal stroke and another horizontal stroke. It was a two-word. Next to the human word, there was a two-word. Benevolence. As soon as the word appeared, the world suddenly became vast and dense. A white rainbow appeared, piercing through the sun. In an eternal river, there seemed to be an endless stream of people with lofty ideals who had truly pursued the path of benevolence since ancient times. It broke through everything. All the battle auras were vulnerable in front of this Tao of benevolence. Crackle! All the swords and sabers disappeared. The Do word also disappeared. The sky became clear again. It was still the Buzhou Palace. Fa Wuxian seemed to not have fought with Lu Baiwe. His fluttering clothes also calmed down. The great God Slayer technique is indeed powerful. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor is indeed the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. He can suppress the gods and immortals, subdue the demons, and suppress the heavenly Tao. However, I have already peeped into the core meaning of your great God Slayer technique. I will definitely kill you in the future. Fa Wuxian waved his sleeves. This Buzhou Palace is nothing special. However, there are powerful people spying on it. It seems impossible for you to think about it. As he spoke, he had already disappeared. Lu Baiyue's face turned pale. Her innate gang qi dissipated. No one knew who won this battle. It was still a draw. This Fa Wuxian is really powerful. Lu Baiwe regained her breath. His cultivation has already reached the realm where he can do as he pleases. Moreover, he is on the path of battle saint. If it wasn't for the fact that there are too many experts here, and he is afraid that both of us will be injured and others will take advantage of us, it would be hard to say who will win this battle. Are you all right? Gu Chensha asked with concern. I'm fine. Lu Baiwei returned to normal. If he can easily break the Great God Slayer technique, how can the Emperor command the gods? Even if he really becomes a battle saint, he can't break Father's Great God Slayer technique. Number 4 had not spoken the entire time. He had been watching the entire battle. However, Fa Wuxian's future might truly be limitless. He's our greatest opponent. He doesn't respect the Imperial Court's orders, doesn't pay respects to Father Emperor, and is lawless and out of control. He is fine. He knows when to retreat. Gu Chensha saw through him. Look at his 2 attacks. He retreated after failing to kill the Imperial Court. It is clear that he is afraid of the Imperial Court. Father can tolerate him. In the Emperor's eyes, he is just a rebellious child. Lu Baiwei said. Actually, the Emperor loves him. Let's not talk about him. Gu Chensha said. The people here don't seem to want to leave Buzhou Palace. Should we start a massacre? Kill. Lu Baiwei did not pity him. But we can just expel the people of the immortal path. Kill the barbarians and demons. Chapter 185. 1. A bow and 2 arrows appeared on Lu Baiwei's back once more. This was the Fan family's god artifact transformed from the Great Massacre god technique. The release bow and the constant and impermanence arrows were really strong. She killed the Masha crown prince so easily. Many monsters, demons, barbarians, and celestials who were hiding in the depths of Buzhou Palace were terrified when they saw her use this technique. But Lu Baiwei wanted to clear the area and didn't care about what they thought. The 2 arrows locked onto a barbarian. The barbarian hid his body and hid behind the stone walls of a palace. He seemed to have noticed something and was silently circulating his will to try to see through the walls of Buzhou Palace to see what was inside. This Buzhou Palace was really firm, and no matter how high one's cultivation was or how strong one's Xiantian energy was, one couldn't damage it at all. Those damaged areas were left behind from the ancient god and demon war, and only gods could damage it. Although it couldn't be destroyed, one could use one's soul power to spy on it. If one found some holes, there might be benefits and fortuitous encounters. Those who could come here were all experts, but to be able to use soul power to spy on it, one had to be at least at Tao Realm Transformation 11, Soul Tentacle. This meant that this hidden barbarian was also at that realm or even stronger. If he really found many fortuitous encounters in Buzhou Palace and his cultivation rose, who knew how much trouble he would cause in the future? The bowstring rang out. The 2 arrows instantly arrived beside the barbarian. Numerous black lights broke the barbarian's invisibility technique and were about to kill him. The barbarian swelled up and his Xiantian energy circulated, forming a waterfall-like sky barrier. Within the barrier, numerous dragon and snake shadows tangled and blocked the 2 arrows. Kacha kacha. Under the strikes of the 2 arrows, the barrier gave out a drum-like sound. It was deafening, but it was unable to break through the defense of the barrier. This is a strong person. Gu Chensha and the 4th pounced forwards. Lu Baiwei walked slowly at an extremely fast speed. She arrived in front of the barbarian before Gu Chensha and the 4th. She put away her arrows. She said, Loloha, the Pope of the Hell Serpent Temple, once assassinated the Inspector General of 5 provinces, 3 prefectural governors, dozens of generals, and countless officials of various prefectures. If I remember correctly, in the first year of the Heavenly Talisman era, you were the one who caused the massacre in the 7 prefectures of the Yichuan prefecture. All the people and officials of the 7 prefectures died in a single night, their souls sucked away. 7 prefectures, hundreds of thousands of people, how could I let you go after meeting you today? Ha ha ha! The Hell Serpent Temple's Pope Laloha laughed and said in the barbarian language, "That's right. I caused this. I devoured the souls of hundreds of thousands of people. What can you do to me? You killed that useless Devil Cliff Crown Prince, but it allowed our tribe to rise. I have to thank you." The barbarian tribes were also not very united. They fought with each other and wanted to devour each other. They were not a monolithic entity. Very good. Lu Baiwe nodded her head. Since that is the case, then you won't be able to escape justice today. This Buzhou Palace will be your burial ground. As he spoke, Lu Baiwe made his move. Light as a feather, he struck out with his palm. The demon descending blade in Gu Chencha's hand roared and slashed out. The sword was really clumsy and wasn't fast or slow. It was like a turtle crawling, like a kid scribbling, like an old woman threading a needle. It was calm and peaceful, ordinary and simple, like a supreme intent of returning to one's true self. The sword appeared in front of the Hell Serpent Temple's Pope Lulu. At the same time, Fourth Bro also pressed down lightly, activating the heart in the vast beyond heaven's fist technique. The three of them pincer attacked. The Hell Serpent Temple's Pope Luluha's cultivation was really strong. In the first year of Heaven Talisman, he swallowed the souls of hundreds of thousands of people in 7 counties. It was obvious that he had reached the demon-devouring ghost realm. This transformation not only allowed him to swallow the souls of demons and beasts, but he could also swallow the souls of humans and beasts. He could digest them in his body to strengthen his mental energy and raise the strength of his soul. In the end, he would reach the 14th transformation, the soul leaving the body. He wouldn't be afraid of all sorts of tribulations. In the past, Laloha was at the demon-devouring ghost realm. Now, he was at least several times stronger. However, Gu Chensha was very careful. Based on his intuition, this Laloha was unfathomable. He was actually able to withstand the transformation of the 2 arrows. He was afraid that he was even stronger than Luo Xiao, who he had just met, let alone the Devil Cliff Crown Prince. One had to know that Luo Xiao was the sect leader of 3 extreme sects. Although it was a 2nd or 3rd grade celestial sect, his cultivation was really strong. He was already at the 16th transformation of Tao realm reincarnation. At such a realm, even in the 72 sects, he could be a really high-ranking elder and enjoy all sorts of treatment. He was a pillar of the sect. Just at that moment, a person came out from a leather bag on Laloha's back. He clapped his hands and blocked Gu Chensha and the 4th's attack. Then, a huge amount of Xiantian earth energy appeared from his body, and he clashed with Lu Baiwe. Honglong. The 3 of them were actually forced back by him. Gu Chensha advanced and retreated. As he retreated, he dissolved all the Xiantian earth energy and used the Dragon Transformation Pagoda to absorb it. He could only feel that the other party's earth energy was really strong and was much stronger than Luo Xiao's. It was a whole realm higher. Even his Dragon Transformation Pagoda found it hard to dissolve it. The 3 of them split up and formed a triangle, surrounding Laloha. At this moment, Gu Chensha could see that there was a young man standing beside Laloha. This young man's cultivation was really strong, on par with Laloha. Moreover, he had sharp eyebrows and sharp eyes. He was actually a genius that was no weaker than Long Zifei. However, the strange thing was that this young man's every move was similar to Laloha's. The 2 of them were very similar in terms of soul, as if they were the same person. As expected, Lu Baiwe squinted her eyes. You actually cultivated to the 17th transformation, Tao Splitting Soul. If I'm not wrong, this young man was called Li Yaoyang, the most outstanding disciple of the profound sect of Chongyang. However, you swallowed his soul and took over his body, pouring in your 2nd Yuan Shen. Tao Realm 17th Transformation, Tao Splitting Soul. Gu Chensha became nervous when he heard this. The so-called Tao Splitting Soul was when the Yuan Shen was used to the extreme and split into 3, which were 3 different people. Each of them could be reincarnated or reincarnated in another body. In the demon path, this was called the three corpses Yuan Shin, and in the celestial path, it was called the three pure ones. Only when one reached this realm could one truly be said to be powerful and extremely difficult to kill. However, this transformation was a bottleneck. Splitting the primordial spirit was as difficult as splitting open the Grand Tao. Even in the primordial era, very few cultivators were able to succeed. Perhaps only 1 in 1,000 cultivators would be able to succeed. Once one succeeded, one's cultivation would be 3 times stronger. Moreover, the 3 of them would form a formation and change one another. It wouldn't be as simple as 3 stacking on top of one another. One could say that if one reached this realm, it would be a totally different world. It would be the same as the Samadhi true flame of the Tao Realm 8 transformation. The Tao Realm 36 transformation was the number of 4 nines. This meant that every 9 transformations meant a huge breakthrough. From the Samadhi true flame of the Tao Realm 8 transformation to the glass jade body, one's lifespan would double and one's body would be as quiet as glass. The Tao Realm 17th transformation Tao Splitting Soul and 18th transformation Great Tao Golden Core were the final transformations of the 2 nines. From the 10 transformations to 1,000 using one heart and reincarnating in a body, they were all paving the way for the second transformation. As expected from someone that the Heaven Talisman Emperor favored. Loloha used the barbarian language to laugh. This Li Yaoyang was a top talent and was arrogant. He went around killing demons and monsters, but after all, he wasn't strong enough. I schemed and killed him. I swallowed his soul and used the second soul to occupy his body. After cultivation, he reached the same realm as me. No, he is stronger than me. But right now I still lack a third body. Originally, I wanted to plot against Fa Wuxian, but unfortunately, he was too vigilant. Since you have appeared, then I will occupy your body and swallow your soul. Then I will be able to cultivate the Great Tao Golden Core easily. The 4th, Old 19, this person is the Hell Snake God Temple sect leader and his position is similar to Yuan Shasheng's. Killing him would mean that all those who believe in the Hell Snake evil god would have no leader. Lu Baiyue's expression was calm. I knew that the appearance of Buzhou Palace was a good chance for us to kill barbarian race experts. It is a good chance for calming Celestial Department to become famous. That's right. The 4th didn't care at all. This kind of barbarian race temple leader must be killed. I want to see how far I am from the top experts. Gu Chunsha had fought against Heng Budong before. Although he was no match for Loloha, with number 4 and Lu Baiyue taking some of the pressure off of Loloha, Gu Chunsha was able to provide some assistance from the side. Moreover, he was very useful. He could absorb the enemy's innate gang qi and make it impossible for him to retract it, thus weakening the enemy. A great battle was about to begin. Ha 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 ha! At this moment, laughter was heard again. Someone landed in the field. Lu Baiyue, Gu Chunsha, and the 4th frowned at the same time. Because the person who came was the chaotic demonic ape temple sect leader, Yuan Shasheng. As Yuan Shasheng landed, Li Wangxing also appeared in the field. He came from the other side and locked his eyes on Lu Baiyue. The enemy had 2 more experts out of nowhere. No matter how strong Lu Baiyue was, she had to consider the risk. Yuan Shasheng didn't attack last time, but this person had reached Tao Realm Transformation 16 long ago. Gu Chunsha felt that he was even more terrifying than Li Wangxing and might not be weaker than Loloha. One must know that Chaotic Demonic Ape Temple was even stronger than Hell Snake God Temple. If Lu Baiyue, 4th Elder, and Gu Chunsha were to go against Loloha, the odds of victory were only 50-50, then with Li Wangxing, Yuan Shasheng would definitely lose. Lu Baiyue, you are really amazing. Compared to last time, your cultivation has improved. Li Wangxing's gaze was sharp. If you continue to grow like this, in a year and a half, how strong will you be? Lu Baiyue's growth shocked him. At the start, Lu Baiyue was just at Dao Realm Transformation 7 and was defeated by him. In just a short 20 hours, she appeared in front of him once more and he was actually helpless. 3 months passed and Li Wangxing realized that he was no match for Lu Baiyue. In front, Lu Baiyue and Fa Wuxian were fighting on the same level. Chapter 186. The situation is really bad. Gu Qinsha calculated in his heart, with my strength, if I don't use the Dragon Transformation Pagoda, King Dragon Armor, and Demon Descending Blade, I can at most fight someone at the 7th or 8th stage of Dao Realm. With these 3 treasures, my strength will increase by 10 times and I will be able to fight someone at the 10th or even the 11th stage. I can be considered an expert, but in such a situation, I won't be able to handle it. Instead, I will just be a burden. He knew where his weakness was. His cultivation realm was at the peak of the 5th transformation, the 100 Spirit Gathering realm. Logically speaking, no matter how strong a person was, he could at most fight someone at the 6th transformation. But against someone at the 7th transformation, he would be suppressed. This was because one used brute force while the other used the ever-changing Xiantian earth energy, and could fly. The difference was huge. Brute force couldn't beat Xiantian earth energy. If he was at the 6th transformation, he wouldn't be able to fly and the Xiantian earth energy couldn't be retracted. Then, he might have a chance with brute force. At the 7th transformation, he could suppress any kind of brute force. However, Gu Qinsha cultivated the most powerful Son of Heaven's investiture art and transformed into the dragon form of the sun and moon. His strength was powerful and his qi and blood were vast, far surpassing anyone else. It could be said that even innate saints in the same realm could not compare to him in terms of physique. Moreover, he consumed a large amount of heaven dew and was nourished by the Xuanwu god-beast energy. His body was like an indestructible diamond. Normal Xiantian earth energy would be like a mosquito bite when it struck his body. Unless it was a Dao Realm Transformation 8 Xiantian earth energy that had been refined by the Samadhi True Flame, it would be extremely sharp and would have a 20% chance of harming Gu Qinsha. The key was that if a Dao Realm Transformation 8 Xiantian earth energy flew around, Gu Qinsha wouldn't be able to do anything to him. With the King Dragon armor, he had solved this problem perfectly. He could fly, chase, and turn at will. It would not be difficult for him to kill an expert with a glass body in one strike. This didn't even include the Dragon Transformation Pagoda. The Dragon Transformation Pagoda could be said to be his true trump card. When the enemy's innate stellar energy bombarded his body, it would actually be absorbed and fused with his sun and moon dragon blood, producing dragon energy in the pagoda. Therefore, with the help of the King Dragon armor, the Dragonization Pagoda, the Demon Subduing Blade, and the Heaven Offering Talisman, Gu Qinsha was able to handle the situation with ease. Even if it was the 10th or 11th transformations, he wouldn't be afraid. Even against an expert like Luo Xiu, he was able to act as a sidekick under the suppression of Lu Baiyue and the 4th and obtain benefit. Of course, if he were to face Luo Xiu head-on, his strength would only lead to death. However, he knew that his shortcoming was that he had yet to master the innate stellar energy. Once he did, he would undergo a tremendous transformation. He knew very well how much energy he had accumulated in his body, and how strong he would be after he converted all of it into innate stellar energy. But he just couldn't break through that step. Looks like I'll have to perform the heavenly divination sacrifice in secret to perfect my clumsy fist. Gu Qinsha was eager to improve his strength. Oh? So many people are here? Lu Baiyue's expression didn't change at all. Li Wangxing, you lost to me that day, and now you dare to come here to die? Lu Baiyue, If you didn't rely on that mysterious space treasure, how could you have withstood my demon destroys the world? Li Wangxing was furious. That day, even though Lu Baiwei and Gu Chensha had cultivated the 9 transformations glass jade body and cultivated the great massacre god technique, they still couldn't withstand Li Wangxing's demon destroys the world. That move was already a forbidden technique. Although it wasn't as good as the annihilation of the sun and moon, it was still extremely terrifying. Especially with Li Wangxing's cultivation, people who were a few levels higher than him might not be able to withstand it. Li Wangxing, since that is the case, why don't you use Demon Destroys the World again and see if I can withstand it? Lu Baiwei smiled. If you fight me now, I can kill you in less than 10 moves. After 3 months of hard work, Lu Baiwei had leveled up twice and reached the 11 transformations soul tentacles. Her combat strength had increased by more than 10 times. She had absolute confidence in herself. Chensha, when the battle starts, immediately hide in space. As she spoke, a wisp of her soul entered Gu Chensha's mind. The 4th and I are not afraid. This is a tough battle. Okay. Gu Chensha knew that his cultivation was low and if they fought, he would be a burden. If Lu Baiwei and the 4th went all out, it would be extremely difficult for others to kill them. He hid in the sun and moon altar and used the heaven divination sacrifice. So, with a sway of his body, he disappeared. Lu Baiwei and the 4th looked at one another and hollered. A spirit flag floated in the air and protected the two of them. Shwa. Their speed increased by 10 times. This was the 10,000 miles soaring cloud flag, an ancient treasure. Normally, it required an extremely dense Xiantian Gang Qi to activate, and ordinary experts would not be able to unleash its full power. However, Lu Baiwei's Xiantian Gang Qi was endless, and he was able to activate 30 to 40% of the flag's power. She and the 4th worked together to strike. They charged towards Loloha. A tough battle was about to begin. At that moment, Gu Chensha was in the sun and moon altar. He dripped fresh blood on the black lotus, and then drew many talismans on the altar. Sun and moon dragon flame. He summoned it and instantly the talisman started to burn. He placed the black lotus on the flame talisman and then pointed once more. Another talisman was drawn in fresh blood. The talisman was really complicated, like it was calculating formulas. This was the method of the heaven divination sacrifice. He had studied hard from ancient books and record. The black lotus was the true chi of the great massacre god technique. Within it were sealed the essence blood, essence energy, and souls of the 8 Tao realm transformation 8 barbarian race experts and the Masha crown prince. These people had strong souls, and if they sacrificed to the heavens, they would be able to obtain many benefits. Man proposes but God disposes. From the past to the future, the heavens have evolved to test the changes of my clumsy fist. Gu Chensha hollered, sacrifice. Kacha. The black lotus split open and a ghostly wail spread out. That was evil energy and vengeful intent. The Masha crown prince and the barbarian race experts gathered together had done many evil things in their lives. Vengeful souls surrounded them, and they were really evil. Now all of that was gone. Dust to dust, dust to dust. All sins will belong to the heavens. Gu Chensha clasped his hands together and more sun and moon dragon flame descended, instantly sacrificing all the souls. The moment he sacrificed, the flames turned into many diagrams. In just a breath's time, it deduced hundreds of millions of times and evolved into many different forms of the clumsy fist. Gu Chensha calmed himself down to take a look. As expected, the heavens divination was unique. The huge heavens started to spin and the cultivation technique that was deduced far exceeded what he had expected. Many details were perfected and the cultivation technique that followed seemed to have gained a lot of inspiration. Honglong. After a few breaths, the flames dissipated and everything disappeared. However, Gu Chensha had grasped the key point of the clumsy fist's breakthrough. His mind spun quickly and his thoughts returned to one. In the depths of his mind, the structure of the clumsy fist changed once more. It turned into a mountain and land that stood tall in the universe, representing the foundation of the universe. On the top of the mountain, a bright light shone. That was the Son of Heaven God sealing technique. The clumsy fist represented the most basic thing in the world, and the Son of Heaven God sealing technique represented the highest light. The two of them were actually perfectly combined. I see. Gu Chernshaw understood. The clumsy fist that I comprehended represents the most ignorant and suffering people in the world. Although it's inferior, it's the foundation. If it wasn't so, it wouldn't be able to hold up the light of the sun and moon. If that's the case, there's no barrier between the clumsy fist and the Son of Heaven God sealing technique. Instead, I can use the Son of Heaven God sealing technique to nourish this fist. Gu Chernshaw comprehended again. In his body, the qi and blood beads accumulated in the 108 acupoints suddenly exploded and turned into a majestic airflow that shuttled through his body. It seemed like it was going to turn into innate earth energy. Hungry, I'm so hungry. At this moment, he felt extremely weak and hungry. It turned out that the process from the 5th transformation to the 6th transformation of the Tao state required the gathering and condensing of energy. A large amount of qi and blood could only turn into a wisp of innate earth energy. Therefore, during the transformation process, a large amount of elixirs or the strongest spirit gathering formation was required. Heavenly Dew, give it to me. Gu Chernshaw was prepared and naturally wouldn't make a mistake at this moment. He grabbed with his hand and the purple gold gourd appeared in his hand. There were tens of thousands of kilograms of heavenly dew left behind by the ancient Zhou Emperor. Liu Baiwei had given all of it to him. Gulp, gulp. He gulped down the heavenly dew like an elephant drinking water. The heavenly dew brewed in his body and instantly turned into surging qi and blood. The qi and blood condensed again and turned into innate earth energy. All of Gu Chernsha's pores shot out light. His entire body was no longer made of flesh and blood but a body of a gem. He was a head taller than before. The meridians, dantian, sea of qi, all the acupoints and organs in his body had become extremely wide. As the heavenly dew was consumed in large amounts, a large amount of his qi and blood was also converted into innate earth energy. The innate earth energy circulated in his body and merged with his flesh and blood, changing and expanding his body, making it more resilient, flexible, and flexible. There were many miraculous changes to the body of sun and moon dragons. At this moment, the strength of Gu Chernsha's body far exceeded Yi Ming's glass jade body. Sun and moon refinement. I can finally break through. I won't use blood refinement but energy refinement. Gu Chernshaw sensed the changes in his body. He knew that this was his biggest breakthrough. Tao Realm 6 transformations, innate earth energy. His Son of Heaven God sealing technique was merged together and had a new breakthrough. Sun and moon refinement, sun and moon transformation, sun and moon slaughter, and sun and moon dragon all stepped into a brand new realm. Especially the sun and moon refinement, it was much more magical. In the past, he could only use blood to refine treasures, but now he could use his own innate earth energy. Dragon Transformation Tower. I will use my own innate earth energy to refine you. Gu Chernshaw had an idea and large amounts of innate earth energy surged into the Dragon Transformation Tower. The moment he stepped into the Tao Realm 6 transformations, he knew the secrets of the sun and moon refinement. Chapter 187. The Dragon Transformation Pagoda was Gu Chernsha's trump card. With this pagoda, innate stellar qi could not be harmed, and it could even be converted into dragon energy to enhance one's aptitude. From this, it could be seen that if Yuan Shasheng succeeded in refining this pagoda and absorbed it into his body, his cultivation would rise to a certain level. When Gu Chensha used his Xiantian astral energy to rush into it, the dragon transformation pagoda itself was also squirming. Gu Chensha's innate energy was no small matter. It was the lunisolar draconic energy that could destroy all evil, punish all evil, nourish the common people, and nourish the world. He used the sun and moon refining technique to perfect the dragon transformation pagoda, allowing it to advance one step further. The dragon transformation pagoda changed a few times, but it was no longer in the shape of a pagoda. Instead, it turned into a small arched door. Untainted Universe Dragon Sect? Gu Chensha was overjoyed. My sun and moon dragon handle can actually transform the dragon transformation pagoda again and evolve it into the embryonic form of the primeval dragon gate? Although it's a fake, it's much more effective than the dragon transformation pagoda. A large number of sun and moon dragons repulse rushed into the embryonic dragon gate. The whirlpool inside the dragon gate spun, producing a huge suction force that seemed to be able to suck in the sun and moon dragon handle endlessly. In an instant, Gu Chensha once again felt that his innate energy of vigor was insufficient. The speed at which he consumed the heavenly dew increased. Fortunately, he had the support of tens of thousands of kilograms of heavenly dew. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to cultivate the dragon gate to such a level. At this moment, the dragon transformation pagoda had transformed into the embryonic form of the dragon gate. Even though it was a replica, the speed at which it absorbed innate stellar energy and its capacity were greatly increased. If the dragon gate can devour other innate earth chi and convert it into dragon chi to improve one's potential, then it can also devour my innate earth chi and convert it into dragon chi. Since that's the case, I will infuse it into the dragon gate to improve my potential and turn myself into a genius. Gu Chensha had used the dragon transformation pagoda to condense a dragon core and raise his aptitude to superior grade. Now, he was going to raise it again and become a genius. If it was the true great desolate dragon gate, it would be able to raise people to innate sages. However, the dragon transformation pagoda could only raise people to become geniuses. However, a genius was enough for Gu Chensha. Although the aptitude of geniuses was far from that of peerless geniuses, let alone innate saints, they still had a place in the immortal Tao sections. With his genius aptitude, Gu Chensha's cultivation speed would definitely not be the same as before. One had to know that there was an insurmountable gap between superior aptitude and genius. Sure enough, when Gu Chensha's Sun-Moon Dragonwell entered the Dragon Gate, he didn't use the Sun-Moon refinement, but rather the Dragon Nourishing Incantation. Instantly, the Sun-Moon Dragonwell condensed and transformed into Dragon Chi, which then condensed into a Dragon Core. Finally, a huge Dragon Core was formed in the depths of the Dragon Gate. The Dragon Core melted again and entered Gu Chensha's body, blood, soul, and brain. Crack! Gu Chensha was in high spirits. He felt that the essence of his soul could travel through time and space. His brain, which was not very bright before, became extremely intelligent. On his body, spiritual light flashed like lightning. Even more martial arts concepts emerged. His creative ideas were as numerous as the hairs on a cow. Is this the aptitude of a genius? Gu Chensha casually circulated his energy and felt that his strength had increased tremendously, and he could not be compared to before. King Dragon Armor! Come on! The Blade of Exorcism! Come on! He used his Sun-Moon Draconic Repulse and large amounts of Sky Dew to turn the Dragon Formation Tower into the Dragon Gate. He then used the Dragon Gate to absorb large amounts of Sun-Moon Draconic Repulse to form a Dragon Core to raise his talent. This series of changes caused his strength to increase by several times. Of course, this was the limit of the Dragon Gate. In the future, even if the Dragon Gate absorbed energy to form a dragon core, it wouldn't be able to increase talent. The Dragon Gate could absorb Sciention energy and turn it into dragon energy and dragon core. It could also store Sciention energy and use it to refine the Dragon Gate itself. All of this followed Gu Chencha's heart technique. The Dragon Gate's treasure had the ability to snatch the essence of heaven and earth. After comprehending the Dragon Gate, Gu Chencha decided to go all out. He refined the King Dragon armor and blade of exorcism to the peak. Anyway, he had Sky Dew to support him. Ocean amounts of Sun-Moon Draconic Repulse surged into the depths of the King Dragon armor and blade of exorcism. Gu Chencha reached out and activated the Sun and Moon refinement. He was now at Dao Realm Transformation 6 and also had talent. His comprehension of the Sun and Moon refinement was much higher than before. A genius's talent and comprehension of martial arts were really shocking. His Sciention energy flowed in the depths of the King Dragon armor and Demon Exorcism blade, clearing up his meridians, opening up his joints, and even starting to form his acupoints. Sun and Moon Dragon Flame. He sacrificed fresh blood once more to draw in the dragon flame to burn. Large amounts of Sun and Moon Draconic Repulse were consumed. Under his exquisite refinement techniques, the sword and armor turned into all sorts of shapes. Gulp, gulp. He consumed Sky Dew like it was nothing to increase his blood and energy. If the old antiques in the celestial path saw this, they would probably scold him for being a wastrel. Change, change, change. Gu Chencha's hands formed seals, and he controlled the Sciention energy to wrap around it. He hadn't reached Dao Realm Transformation 7 and wasn't familiar with the circulation of energy. He could release it, but he couldn't retract it. But it was enough to refine treasures. Honglong. The King Dragon armor was the first to change. This armor's quality wasn't bad, and it had swallowed the Sky Demon Relic Shard. It had formed an essence spirit and was refined many times. Now that it absorbed the Sun and Moon Draconic Repulse, and was being burned by the Sun and Moon Dragon Flame, it instantly changed. The entire armor became bigger and spread out, turning into a shining golden fire cloud. It was 3 to 4 acres of land and many small dragons swam about. Many runes appeared in the center. Gu Chencha raised his hand and shot out balls of Sun and Moon Dragon handle which entered. Flames surged and 10,000 dragons roared in unison. The demon descending blade flew out, turning into a giant sword that sped through the golden clouds. Sword and armor were refined together. Dragon Gate. Gu Chencha opened his mouth and a small dragon gate flew out. In the blink of an eye, it was as tall as a person. It sucked in the demon descending blade and the fire cloud that the armor had turned into. The depths of the Dragon Gate were pitch black, and who knew what was hidden there? The sword and armor were brewing within. Gu Chencha sucked in the Sky Dew once more and sent the Sun and Moon Dragon handle into the Dragon Gate. He circulated the Sun and Moon Dragon handle to the extreme, and there was actually a rumble of lightning in the depths of the Dragon Gate. The treasure entered the Dragon Gate and its nature changed. All Sky Dew. Drink it all. Gu Chencha didn't know how much Sky Dew he had drunk. He only felt that the Sky Dew in the gourd was getting lesser and lesser. He drank a few 100 kilograms and instantly converted it into Sun and Moon Dragon handle, which the Dragon Gate absorbed endlessly. In the end, the gourd was filled with tens of thousands of kilograms of Sky Dew. He didn't know how much Sciention Gangqi had accumulated in the depths of the Dragon Gate. The King Dragon armor and the Demon Descending Blade were spat out and underwent a new change. The King Dragon armor had turned into an ancient word, the word. As for the Demon Descending Blade, it had turned into the word blade. This was the Sun and Moon refining technique of the Son of Heaven's God sealing art. It could return to the origin and impart the true meaning of the primordial era. These were the words of the primordial era. The ancient sages created words according to the supreme principles of heaven and earth. They condensed the true meaning of all things and turned it into runes. It could be said that words were also a type of rune. When people saw a word, they would understand the true meaning of an object or thing. Words were the representation of the communication between runes and the world. Right now, the king dragon armor had condensed into the word, and the demon descending blade had turned into the word blade. This was equivalent to obtaining the true meaning of the words. Their power had increased, and they could kill demons and ghosts in the blink of an eye. Upper body. Gu Chunxia swallowed the dragon gate into his abdomen and pointed. The word once again turned into the king dragon armor and was worn on his body. Almost all of his body was hidden, and even his aura was gone. The demon descending blade was also held in his hand. As it swayed, it also became invisible, formless and traceless. Voidwalker. At this moment, Gu Chunxia had a sword in his hand, armor on his body, and the dragon gate in his abdomen. Xiantian Gangqi circulated throughout his body. In the depths of the dragon gate, he had stored a large amount of sun and moon dragon aura, which could support his consumption at any time. Normally, people who had reached the 6 transformations had limited Xiantian Gangqi. Gu Chunxia was no exception. For example, the Shadow Priest had also reached the 6 transformations, and his Xiantian Gangqi could release about 10 attacks. Even if Gu Chunxia did not need the Dragon Gate to store Xiantian Gangqi, he could still release hundreds of attacks with his own Dantian. With the Xiantian Gangqi stored in the Dragon Gate, he could even release thousands, or even tens of thousands of attacks. The Dragon Gate had too many functions, and it was one of the best Dharma treasures for storing Xiantian Gangqi. However, no matter how much Xiantian Gangqi he could store, it could not compare to Lu Baiyue. Lu Baiyue's great massacre god technique had endless Xiantian Gangqi. It's a pity that this sea-carrying gourd is also an extremely powerful Dharma treasure. I can refine it and store Xiantian Gangqi, but I don't have time to refine it now. When my cultivation is higher, I will refine this treasure, and then I will have more protective treasures. Gu Chunxia looked at the sea-carrying gourd. This sea-carrying gourd was a space Dharma treasure, and there were many mysteries hidden within it. It was a pity that he did not have the energy and time to refine it. All these changes, from the heaven-telling sacrifice, deduced the many changes behind the clumsy fist. He comprehended the complementation between the clumsy fist and the Son of Heaven's God investiture technique. His cultivation increased greatly, and he broke through the 6 transformations of Tao realm. Then, he used the Sun and Moon Dragon energy to transform the Dragon Transformation Tower into the Dragon Gate, and with the help of the Dragon Gate, he pushed himself to the level of a genius. Then, he consumed all the heavenly dew, and the King Dragon armor and the Demon Descending Blade evolved to an even stronger level. This series of changes only took a few dozen breaths. Outside, Lu Baiyue and the Fourth had joined forces to activate the 10,000 miles soaring cloud flag, and were already fighting with Yuan Shaxing, Li Wangxing, Luluha, and some demons. In Buzhou Palace, fierce battles were raging, and the sky and earth were turning upside down. Lu Baiyue was extremely fast, and no one could touch her. With a wave of her hand, the great massacre god technique's Xiantian earth energy was released, and it turned into a sky full of stardust. They were all lightning, and they exploded all the attack. The Fourth relied on the speed of the 10,000 miles soaring cloud flag to appear and disappear like a ghost. He worked together with Lu Baiyue, and after the god massacre thunder broke the enemy's protective earth energy, he suddenly punched out, aiming for the enemy's vitals. This way, when they fought, the two of them were not at a disadvantage. But this battle attracted more and more experts. The celestial Tao people didn't help, and they all hid to watch. The barbarian race experts, evil demons, and monster race experts all attacked Lu Baiyue and the Fourth. Chapter 188. Lu Baiwei is really amazing. Her methods are far beyond ours. Luo Wu, Bao Ming Mu Yi, and the others stood far away from the Buzhou Palace, watching the battle in the center of the palace. Strong Xiantian earth energy swept everywhere, and those with weak cultivations didn't dare to get close. Look, a few barbarian kings have joined the battle. 3 barbarian kings appeared on the battlefield, all of them above the Dao Realm 9 transformation realm. The barbarian king of a large tribe, or even several large tribes, had to be a barbarian with a Dao Realm 9 transformation glass body or above. These barbarian kings are strong, one of them is even at the 13 transformation realm. Mu Yi smiled. Look, the 3 barbarian kings have a formation created by the barbarian saint, the 3 origin life and death formation. It gathers their Xiantian earth energy and souls together, making it extremely powerful. These 3 barbarian kings are all disciples of the barbarian saint, and the dead demon's laughter crown prince's senior and junior brothers. We must take revenge this time. The barbarian saint is the true soul of the barbarian race, and his cultivation is on par with the ancient saints. Bao Ming said, it was because of this person that the barbarians were able to reach an agreement with the many evil gods that the barbarians were able to prosper. They even showed signs of getting rid of the evil gods. Why doesn't the Heavenly Talisman Emperor kill him? Huang Fu Fengyan asked. If the Heavenly Talisman Emperor didn't have the suppression of the Heavenly Tao, he could have killed him. But as the great Yonko court grew stronger, the world's fate was in full swing, and the ancient changes caused the human chi to soar into the sky, offending the Heavenly Tao. So the Heavenly Talisman Emperor sent down many disasters. But the Heavenly Talisman Emperor is suppressing 90% of his power. Otherwise, the world would have suffered a long time ago. In addition, the barbarian saint has signed a contract with many evil gods to help each other. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor also has to divert his attention to block the demon passage in the bottomless sea of sin to prevent the demons from descending. He also has to guard against the immortal Tao, Inxian said. Even if he has billions of spells, he can't kill everyone. If he gives up on the court and stops suppressing the divine prefecture, he can use all his power. Luo Wu suddenly said, then who can stop him? Hearing this, many people fell silent. Right, where is Gu Chensha? Why did it suddenly disappear? Mu Yi asked with a smile. He has many secrets on him. Although his cultivation is low, he is deep and unfathomable. He cannot be underestimated. Huang Fu Fengyan spoke. Everyone says that he has the worst aptitude out of all the sons of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. But after interacting with him, I feel that he truly isn't an ordinary person. He's extremely shrewd and doesn't have the pampered aura of a prince. Look, even the experts of the demon race have come out. That's the Thunder Beast King, Lei Wuxia. He leads the Thunder Beast tribe and is one of the most powerful demon races in the desolate mountains. Luo Wu pointed to the front. Suddenly, a wild beast that looked like a giant elephant appeared. It had a spiral horn, and it released intense lightning that was deafening and powerful. The lightning beast's body flickered with lightning, and its demonic aura soared to the heavens. Occasionally, a small humanoid figure would appear on its head. This was the primordial spirit. This lightning beast had already cultivated to the 14th transformation of the Dao realm, the Yuan Shen realm. The lightning beast itself was a primordial mutated species that could emit lightning. It was extremely intelligent, almost as if it had the intelligence of a human. If it was guided by an expert, its cultivation would be extremely fast. As for this Lei Wuxia, he had obtained the guidance of demon sage Li Wanlong by chance. His cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, and he had actually cultivated to the 14 transformations of primordial divinity. As long as he advanced another 2 transformations, he would be able to reincarnate into a corpse and seize the physical body of a human. However, the lightning beast's body was much stronger than a human's. It wasn't worth it to abandon its original body and take over a human's body. Only by cultivating to the 17th transformation, the Tao-splitting soul doppelganger could one split into 3 and 1 Yuan Shin would be able to find the body of an unparalleled genius to take over. So many experts. This Thunder Beast King. From the Sun-Moon altar, Gu Qinsha observed the battlefield carefully. He could already see all the experts at a glance. The demons and barbarians attacked Lu Baiwei and the Fourth. However, the two of them relied on the 10,000 miles soaring cloud flag to move extremely fast, so it was difficult for them to catch up. But at this moment, the 3 barbarian kings joined forces and took out some kind of Dharma treasure. Spider silk filled the sky and gradually spread out, like a net to stop the two of them from moving. The Thunder Beast King was even more powerful. It didn't chase them and just roared loudly. With every roar, Lu Baiwei and the Fourth's flight would be interrupted. They didn't know what kind of spiritual deterrence divine art it used. Gu Qinsha swooshed out of the Sun-Moon altar. He was invisible and formless. His speed was as fast as a shadow. Without a sound, he appeared behind the 3 barbarian kings. The demon-subduing blade in his hand trembled slightly and stabbed out 3 times, enveloping the 3 barbarian kings. Attack! Light exploded, almost piercing through the sun and moon. Xiantian energy gathered on the demon-subduing blade, but it didn't shoot out. Instead, it circulated. This was the Sun-Moon slaughter. It was also the Sun-Moon slaughter which used the clumsy fist as the foundation. The clumsy fist was the foundation, and along with the Sun-Moon slaughter, it complemented each other. It used the clumsiness of the people to show off the brilliance of the Sun-Moon Emperor. Without the people, what was the point of the Sun-Moon brilliance? An eye-catching light exploded and killing energy surged. It was as if the sun and moon were being summoned, causing phenomenons in heaven and earth. Once Gu Qinsha broke through to the 6th transformation of the Tao realm, he also cultivated the King Dragon armor and demon subduing blade. At this moment, the killing strength of the Sun-Moon slaughter increased by dozens of times. The Sun-Moon dragon energy was indestructible. Pucci! Before the 3 barbarian kings could react, they saw the sun and moon descend from the sky and explode beside them. Then, they didn't know what happened. 3 heads flew into the air and their bodies were sliced into pieces. Their flesh and souls instantly disappeared. Within the Sun-Moon altar, 3 blood balls appeared. The 3 famous barbarian kings were instantly killed, and they didn't even have a chance to fight back. The few treasures on their bodies were all kept into the Sun-Moon altar. This is... Luo Wu and the others paid close attention to the battlefield. Gu Qinsha's sudden appearance shocked them. What they didn't expect was that the moment he appeared, he killed the 3 barbarian kings. This person's killing strength. Just now, the light exploded and killing energy swept the wilderness. The sun and moon fell and the land was covered in it. The aura was so vast that it terrified all of them. Gu Qinsha didn't stop and pounced towards the lightning beast King Lightning Martial Vengeance. He pounced forwards and hid his body. In the next instant, he appeared in the distance and pounced once more before disappearing once more. He was just like a ghost. Lightning Beast King Lightning Martial Vengeance locked onto him. The horn on his head shot out lightning, but it missed several times. Instead, it allowed him to get close to him. Kong! The Thunder Wuxa's body suddenly surged with large amounts of lightning. It was extremely dense and spread outwards with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Such might could even destroy mountains. But at this time, Gu Qinsha had already appeared beside it and stabbed out with his sword. A whirlpool appeared on the sword and absorbed the lightning astral energy cleanly. Many of the lightning rays that bombarded his body also disappeared in an instant. It was as if he was a bottomless abyss that could absorb any existence. The Dragon Transformation Pagoda had transformed into the Dragon Gate. Even the experts of the chaotic demonic ape temple didn't expect that one day, this treasure would undergo such a transformation. In an instant, Gu Chunshao ignored all attacks and closed in once more. He struck out with his sword. It was still the sun-moon slaughter combined with the clumsy fist 9 arts. Resplendent light covered the 9 heavens. The sun and moon fell and the people cried. This sword move was invincible and could cut through anything. The sun and moon astral dragons sighed faintly as if the ancient saints were lamenting the hardships of the people. It seemed like the ancient gods were lamenting. It turned out that the gods weren't immortal. They were invincible from the moment they came out of the cave. This was Gu Chensha's current state. One sword pressed down and ghosts and gods bowed. Pucci. All the body-protecting energy was sliced open like oil. Gu Chensha ignored all defenses and the demon descending blade was like the punishment of the heavens as it stabbed into the body of the lightning beast King Lightning Martial Vengeance. Lightning Martial Vengeance was an expert at the 14th transformation of the Tao realm, but in front of Gu Chensha, there was nothing he could do. Any attack that touched Gu Chensha's body would totally disappear. Kong. After being stabbed by the sword, Lightning Martial Vengeance cried out in pain. But it wasn't like the 3 barbarian kings. It was a lightning beast and its life force far exceeded that of humans. When it was injured, the earth energy around its body rotated and a destructive demonic energy exploded. The moment it spread outwards, everyone sensed an extremely dangerous aura. Demon destroying the world. Many experts retreated in fear of being affected by this move. Lightning Martial Vengeance raised his claw and gathered earth energy. He was unbelievably quick and used Demon Destroying the World to lock onto Gu Chensha's Demon Descending Blade. Hong Long. A huge amount of earth energy spread out. When the ripples dissipated, Gu Chensha stood there proudly. He held his sword and didn't move at all like he was unharmed. Lightning Martial Vengeance's giant body flew into the air. Blood dripped from his claw and he was actually stabbed. What? He dares to face Demon Destroying the World head-on? Mu Yexiao's eyes opened wide. Demon Destroying the World was created by monster Saintly Wanlong and it is the limit of earth energy. Even I have to avoid it and can't take it head-on. Especially when Lightning Martial Vengeance is used with the body of a lightning beast. The earth energy is so thick that it can destroy everything. But he is actually unharmed? Is he still human? Bao Ming-er was clear. Dragon Transformation Tower? No, even if the Dragon Transformation Tower can absorb Xiantian earth energy, it shouldn't be able to reach such a level. Did he improve it? Bao Ming-er knew that Gu Chensha had the Dragon Transformation Tower. Kill. At that moment, before the celestial disciples could react, Gu Chensha attacked once more. The demon descending blade in his hand changed endlessly like a magic trick. It burst forth with a brilliant light, and it didn't take any time to reach Lightning Martial Vengeance's head. Lightning Martial Vengeance raised his claw again. It was as big as a door, and Xiantian earth energy formed runes on it. The runes formed layers of trajectories and arcs as he fought with Gu Chensha. Lightning Martial Vengeance's body was huge, but his martial arts were as light as a butterfly. It was obvious that he had cultivated his martial arts to the extreme. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.